And welcome to episode number 56 of Night Thrice, the podcast where three friends are going to give you a top three countdown on their three topics of the month. Hello, I'm Ben, along with my co-hosts Emily and Ken.
Hello.
You guys are in for a treat tonight. Emily, what are the topics?
Oh my gosh. Podcasts, recipes, or food and drink, and TV and movie.
All right, so anybody who hasn't been here before, and Ken, the way the show works.
That's fair. That's fair.
I need like a little ding-ding, like, yeah.
We have three topics that we could choose our top three favorite things of the month in those three topics. So, yeah, we're going to have to pick from podcasts, movies, and TV, and recipes. That's right. For the first time ever, the Night Thrice podcast, all the way back to the Night Thrice podcast, is not have tabletop gaming.
Oh my gosh.
Why?
Is true.
Why are we not doing tabletop gaming this month, Emily? What happened?
I don't know. We have not played. We actually just the other day played a game for the first time, but before then we have not played a game in like months, essentially.
Really? Wow.
We played a little here and there, but not like a normal game night every week. So, and every game we bring out is like a game we've played a gazillion times. So we're not going to repeat talk about the same thing.
What about you, Ken? Have you been hitting the table with anything?
Did we talk about Planted last time? Because we got,
yeah.
Okay, that's probably the last thing we've played. We did play, and we talked about what was that called? Escape Room in a Box, which was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I haven't played anything since last podcast either. I don't know why, but something about this time of year is like,
It's the
can we
shitty.
just, like, this sucks. I didn't think it could get worse than February. This is an awful April
Somehow
for some
it did.
reason.
Well,
Yeah.
Every year we could
I'm
like
mad.
find an episode from every year where we go, why do we do this? Why do we do this to ourselves every year?
Yeah.
Well, Elsa started soccer, and notoriously,
Really?
the spring soccer around here is ice
Of
cold.
course, yeah.
They have that big
Amazing.
soccer complex. There's no trees, and it's like 50-mile-an-hour winds
So
constantly.
Why did
windy.
they start so early?
I don't know. They
go until like the beginning of June.
Yeah,
for
so it's
spring.
not a summer sport at all. So it's
Yeah.
April till June.
Seems like a mistake.
And then in the fall, I think it's like September and October, something like that. So it's April
Yeah.
and May,
Huh.
and then it's September and October.
Just
So, yeah.
do 3 months in the summer. I don't.
I don't know.
I don't know. But so we went to her first game on Saturday, and I have never been hotter
It was
at
so
a soccer
fucking
game.
hot.
What?
It was like 85 and sunny,
it was
no
so-
wind. I was so hot.
Like
That's because you're not a complainer. Like if it's
Yeah.
mildly uncomfortable, you're gonna hear about it.
yeah,
from me.
same for
I
me.
will.
Ben
ruin
is
this
usually
day for
like
everybody.
eating it up, right?
Yeah,
He's like,
Ben
yeah,
just-
I love that I'm like roasting and toasting.
Maybe I need to ease into that summer weather or something, but I was
That's true.
so hot.
That's true. We had 85 here as well, and it was
Yeah.
like, this is a little fast.
a little much.
I know we were sort of begging for it, but like,
But it was like
What?
30 one day and then 85 the next day.
the weather here it went up 10 degrees every day from 30 degrees
insane.
all the way to 90, right?
That's so
in
crazy.
6 or 7 days, it climbed to like bad summer weather, like dog days weather.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Which at that point you're like, do I get out shorts? Like it feels weird because the day before you literally had like winter
I
boots
broke
on.
everything out. And
I
then it's
was like full on
well,
summer.
Great. Now my
And
shorts are not going to get touched for another month, probably.
But then the thing was, she had another game on Tuesday, and I have never been colder at a soccer game. I was
So fucking
so
windy.
cold. I was
Yeah.
freezing.
Oh my
I was a little underdressed. I had a winter coat on, a hat and gloves. But I was begging for I should have layered up under my winter coat.
And I mean,
was
everyone had
freezing,
like
man.
blankets in their winter, like the full on. So from
Soccer's
Saturday
tough.
to
That takes
Tuesday,
so long. Yeah.
it was like a full on. Yeah.
Wild. I've
was-
never experienced anything like that. It was just crazy. If and then so we got to call back to the would you rather be hot or cold, and the answer is I would rather be hot.
Went back to hot.
Being cold was miserable. Was way worse than being hot.
I mean, hot sucked.
I think I'd still rather pick cold. I don't know.
The problem was I was at the point. What's it called when your fingers like turn white?
I don't know. A Rorschach test.
Ben has like chronic, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But I got in that situation where like it for sure won. The other one was going.
Cold right.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And my hands were so cold, and I'm like doing this, trying to get blood in it at the soccer field, and every other parent's like, fine.
Really? They don't call it based on weather or anything? I mean,
kids no. It can be like hailing with snow, and they're like, put on your gloves kind of thing.
That like teenage ref, the line ref, I was like, hey, man, you want my gloves? Because he had shorts.
Oh my god!
And no gloves.
And a short sleeve and no gloves.
And
it
was
was
like,
so windy. Like that point where you're like, I'm going to get hurt from the cold wind hitting any skin.
Yeah.
And he's standing there and he's like, no, I think I'm okay. And I wanted to be like, I can see your hands.
Buddy.
Like,
it's okay.
Just take the gloves, man. I got pockets.
Well, and it's one of those things, if he is like a teenager, once he says no, in a teenager's mind, you cannot come back. Right? Whereas now it would be at our age, it's like, hey, dog, let me get those gloves. Right? Next time you run past.
10 minutes later, like, you can totally be like, yo, remember those gloves?
Coffee or anything, something.
What you got roasted in there? What's in that tumbler?
I felt so bad, though. Like, oh, man.
Oh, that would be brutal.
He looked so cold.
I don't know. What have you been up to, Ken?
Well, we had the temperature swing, and it was consistently high 80s for like 3 days in a row.
Yeah, that's what we had.
And I started Golf League for the first time in my life. I've golfed. It was supposed to start on the 13th, but it got canceled.
What's a golf league?
So wait,
so it's a league. So we play all summer.
How'd you get into this?
Like, I play with my neighbor over here and my neighbor over here. Are both a couple months younger than me, actually. We actually have like a really...
triplet scenario going on here.
No, it's just cool to have...
That's crazy.
Our street is sort of turning over from one generation to the next slowly.
Okay.
And so they both have kids, right? Like they're younger than ours, but it's nice to have somebody around who's your own age, for goodness sake. But they talked me into it because all the old guys retired or moved or this or that. It was 85. The game got, I don't know what you even call it, actually. The play got canceled because it was a little too wet still. Oh. But we went anyway as sort of let's learn the course in a non-point. Not that anybody cares who wins it's a beer league, basically, right?
But still, you don't want your
me totally.
I don't want to drag them
debut.
Yeah,
and I'm the new guy, so we did 9 holes. It was absolutely gorgeous.
Whoa,
it was hot up here by closer to the cities, but it's maybe 25, 30 minutes away out into the country, direct south from Minneapolis, and not a fancy dancy course by any means. Very reasonable, gorgeous. Little bit of a breeze, little too much breeze actually, but pristine. And I hit the ground so hard with my driver that I bruised the interior of whatever this muscle is.
Whoa.
And the exterior, like whatever wraps around from your elbow up to your wrist.
Yeah.
So you were swinging so hard.
You were so gung ho.
Your muscles bruised themselves.
Well, when I hit the ground, it was some sort of like driving. Turns out driving, as you might expect, very, very hard. And very different from any of like the iron or the putting stuff, like mid and close range. It had a lot of fun, but driving sucks. So
have you played golf in the past?
I have never swung. I've never hit a real golf ball before that. Yeah.
Because
Whoa,
I think
okay.
I've done it like once. I was like 12, and my dad
Yeah.
was like, "Well, we have a time, so you're coming with us," or whatever. Like, I don't know. I had no
Yeah.
idea what I was doing, but I would have no idea what to do. I feel like I would be horrible. So
It's not, I mean, it's weird because if you've played a lot of sports, there are sort of overarching themes of like, okay, generally you don't look at, if you're playing hockey or baseball or football or anything like that, you're looking where you want it to go, which is apparently not what you do in golf. You look at the ball and make sure your club hits it, right? It's more about body positioning and that sort of thing about where it's going to go. But there's just bizarre, and it's an enlightening revelation about how unflexible I am, right? Because if
That
you're
is true.
right-handed, you're supposed to have this left arm stay straight through the whole swing, which you can see it on the video. I can
I guess I'd be
barely,
left-handed.
I can barely get my arm up before that
It's
starts
like-
to bend,
Yeah.
right?
Like swinging
So-
a bat. Like, I'd be left-handed then.
It's
right?
not like swinging a bat, though.
No, but I
because
mean, like,
that's all elbow, right?
yeah, but I mean, I feel like I would be. I
very-
don't know.
But I
It
grew
would
up
be that way.
I grew up. I don't, for whatever weird reason, my parents were like anti-golf. I don't.
Well, I mean, I'm not
I
anti-golf,
don't-
but if one of my kids were like, "Can I do golf?" I'd be like, just because I have no idea. So I wouldn't be
Well,
like,
it's-
"Yeah, let's get you into
It's
golf,
also
man."
notoriously expensive,
Yeah,
right?
so-
and it's
I don't know. If my kids were like, "Can I try?" I'd be like, "There's easier shit we can do."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
So they would probably
It was
also
a-
think I hate it, but
It was a really good time. I would recommend it to anybody who. I mean, it can be very frustrating, but I mean that's true of everything in life.
Anything,
So
yeah.
deal
that's
with
cool.
it. Yeah, it's fun.
I haven't golfed in a very, very long time. I quit golfing because I could not get rid of a wicked slice that I had. I just would hit.
Okay.
No matter how hard I tried to hit the ball straight, it would just go straight to the right into the woods.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I never could hit it
Really?
straight. I could
found
when I was
didn't have too
younger.
much
Like
trouble with it. Yeah.
I took golf lessons when I was like middle
Whoa.
school age, and
Fancy
I would go
boy.
golfing with my grandpa.
Fancy boy.
But I don't know. I haven't done it since we were at Tech.
Yeah, I just
Really?
never.
Was there a golf course up there?
Yeah,
There was.
There must have been. Yeah.
If you, I just remember
it was like on the
going
way
past
out of
it.
town.
Yeah, it's like if you're going out of town, it was on
Oh yeah.
the right.
Yep. I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Because
it's like 20
later
minutes
on,
out.
it was like hooked up in your tuition later on.
just how they
Oh,
threw
really?
Ripley into
yeah,
the tuition.
They threw
Right.
the
to
golf course in there.
Oh really? Man, I should have tried it. It's fun.
Yep.
It's a good time, weather permitting. Right. I'm sure it could
Yeah.
be. If it's like too hot out there or too cold, I mean, very real possibility I'll have to play a game like in snow pants and
Well, it's
just-
a good skill to fall back on because you never know when you need to go golfing with somebody. When you get
True.
when you just get in with a group of people and they're
No.
like, "Yeah, we golf. Do you want to come?" Like right now, I honestly probably would have to be like, "Nah, I'll pass." Like,
I would
no,
have no
yeah.
problem
Like,
saying no. But
right?
That's just
but like if
me.
you're like, no, I can like I know my way around the
Yeah.
course. You can at least just like go with, and
Yeah.
you're on the outing.
Yeah.
So, Ken, do you have to get golf clothes?
I wear. I feel like I
You
wear
are
golf
golf
clothes already.
You
no,
are. That's already your wardrobe.
yeah.
They were like, try to wear something nice, and you were
like
already wearing
weird,
it.
thin, like Well, golf clothes
Yeah.
now are like it's just athleisure.
Yeah.
Quite frankly,
Which yeah.
it's not like Dockers or
Oh
something.
man, but you should show up in some Dockers. That'd be great.
I've got. No, I had to get some polos. I did
There you
wind
go.
up getting. I had to get a hat. I don't have a nice enough
Oh,
baseball
yeah.
hat, right?
Yeah,
Mine
I
are
wouldn't
trash
have that.
or.
True.
And then I got the shoes so you don't slip because you can get wet out there, and my tennis shoes are absolutely like race car slick underneath. There's no
They're
tread.
racing slicks.
Right.
That's awesome. I
Perfect,
want to hear
perfect.
back. on the next podcast if you've golfed again.
Well,
I'm really
every
curious
Thursday,
to see.
every Thursday till I don't know when. So I'll play quite a few before we do this again.
Yeah, we want to hear some scores too. How you doing?
Oh, well, that's a different story. But I'll tell you what. There's only one shot that makes you really mad, and that's when you're trying to put some distance on it, and you wind up hitting the top of the ball, so it just front
rolls?
spins like down in front of you. Instead of driving, it goes like 20 feet very aggressively into the ground. And at that point, you just drive again and you take whatever I think you lose 2 points or something like that instead of 1.
No idea.
Those are the frustrating ones. Yeah.
I have, so I was just on the phone with our friend Gage before the podcast started. He's in town. And Gage called me maybe a month and a half ago, and he said, I'm going to be in Midland on such and such date. Can I come to RPG night? Because he used to be in our D&D group. He's like, can I come play? And I'm the current DM. And I was like,
heck yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, but you will have to get closer before I know what you're going to do, because I don't know where they're going to be at when you're going to be here. And then I kind of like was thinking, well, I kind of loosely was like, I'm sure I'll come up with something. 2 weeks ago, Gage is like, hey, don't forget, I'm going to be there. And then I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And so then I spent literally like the last 2 weeks, like just thinking through over and over again what I could have him do. What would be fun for him as a guest appearance? So like he actually gets to play the game. Yeah. What role could he play that makes sense for somebody to just be there for one night? We already have 5 players, and now we're going to have a 6th player. So what is he going to do where he's just there for part of the time? And then, like, does it roll into the story? Well, so I thought, like, and it gradually came together. It felt like every day when I would go for a run, I would piece another piece of it together, right? Like,
time.
What if I did that? And then I would sort of like, okay, latch on it. And then the next time I would sort of like flesh out and then eventually it had sort of like, it had formed into something. So last week's RPG session, they end up at a haunted mansion, and they're talking to Lord Creston Averland, the Lord of the mansion, and they have dinner with him. And hey, guess what? Somebody else has gotten trapped in the Dread Mist and is also at the haunted mansion. It's a sort of a soldier-looking guy named Tiber Strut, but he's very quiet at dinner. And then later, Phil was like, "Oh, I want to go talk to that Tiberius guy," and I was like, "Why don't you save that till next week? Because that's Gage." And
oh, cool.
Open the closet and Gage was inside.
Yeah, right. I sensed a whole bunch of stuff to Gage. I was like, you are Tiber Strut. You are a mercenary for hire. You're an ex-soldier. You're very good with a pike. And you're sort of like, you've been sent on this mission to go find this wagon. And it was a wagon that the players had actually come across earlier. It was like a crashed wagon that had like some nice, from a brewery in another town they'd never been to. And he was supposed to go check on whatever happened to that wagon. But this was all a cover, because in truth, Gage was a devil who was sent to go send a message to Quinn's player Kenna, who was actually cursed by this archdevil that she's gotten a deal with named Cosrataxis, because unknown to her, she touched a demonic altar and then got questions answered to her, but now she has to pay her debt. Those questions don't come for free.
Yeah.
And they've been, screwing around. They went to this bog town. Now they're trapped at this haunted mansion, and he's getting a little bit frustrated with that. So Gage got to play the whole night as this pretend Tiber Strut soldier.
Did Gage know he was
Gage was on board with the whole thing. I had two sheets printed off for him, because I knew he was going to be sitting by other people.
Oh,
right. So I printed off Tiber Strut's sheet and I handed it to Gage. I was like, "Here you are. Here's your stuff for the night." It had like whatever health, and it had stats that were like They were fine. He could use a spear. He was a good fighter. They got to role play a little bit. They got assigned a mission to go fight this like bone centipede monster, and he like got to go in there, and he was like pretty effective or whatever. And eventually, finally, they take out the bone monster. It collapses whoosh, into a pile of bones everywhere, and they're like, "Hey, we want to check out, see what else is in here." So they're looking around. And then all of a sudden, you turn around, and the only exit out of the slaughterhouse, Tiber Strut is now standing in the doorway. And then he's wreathed in flame, and his human form burns away. Whoa. And then before you stands this red, devilish creature with horns and a tail, and his spear is now like alight with flame. And then I just told Gage, I was like, just try to kill him. Try to kill everybody.
Do it. That's what I said.
And so then he got to like, I gave him like a super strong creature that he was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, just do as much damage as you can. And then that went on for a couple rounds of combat. And then he put a good hurt on him. And then I was like, suddenly he's, breathing like a column of fire. It's almost like touching the ceiling, right? It's like this huge column of fire, and a face appears in the fire. And then it like was like, enough. And then it gave this message to Kenna, like, you need to get back on the mission I gave you. What are you doing? And then it was like, and the fire's gone, and Gage is gone. His devil is gone. Awesome. And it was cool because the whole rest of this game session was everybody being like, "Hey, Kenna, what the heck is going on?
What up?"
Right, yeah.
For something I spend so much time thinking through and thinking about and like planning those scenes of like, when is it going to happen and how does it look and what happens when it happens.
Yeah.
To have it actually like work out. That was so satisfying. Yeah. And it was great to just like sit back and like watch it work and happen, and like everybody seemed to be having fun. It was very rewarding. I thought that went great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Well, we had the crazy weather, but with the weather, as we know, everyone should know this by now, that in Midland it rains a shit ton and it floods.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so with the rain came we had water, because our roof is bad, water dripping in the mudroom, like a lot of water. And then the basement had water under the floor where like when you step it's like
yeah.
And you're like, okay, I know that's a major issue. And then we also have out in the yard, the whole yard is fenced in. And all of it's dry except for one corner, which of course Uwe is like, wow, that's like the best flipping corner I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And we have to hose him off like 10 times a day because he's up to his elbows in mud and whatnot. So here at our house, we've just
Loves
been like,
the slop.
Oh my God. Well, then the other day we're like, what if, because of course we do like his voice, like he's a person. And we're like, as if he's like a landscaper, and he's just like, man, you guys got a really bad drip back there. Like he's just like, that's what he's been doing. And he's like always landscaping
just cleaning
crap.
up,
Man, you guys are never going to get that drained if you don't do it properly. Like he's just been working on it.
Right. He's got to get a little hard hat on. He's out there.
Yeah, he's out there and he's just like digging holes to check shit. And you're like, you're the worst contractor. Like,
just always working on something, right? But
hey, that wasn't up to code, so I ripped it out and ate it. Hope you don't mind. Like the other day,
it's going to take me a couple weeks to get it back.
Yeah,
up to...
right. Like half the deck underneath, they just like smashed out, and then he's just walking around the yard eating like the lattice thing, and you're like, okay, I guess we're not going to do that. Like,
oh man.
But so yeah, we had to rip up half the basement floor, which Ben is almost done putting it back in.
Gosh.
But Ben, you had to do all the hard work, so.
Oh well, what are you gonna do? Just don't look at it. It looks like I don't know how to put in vinyl flooring. It's you can't be like, hey, actually, this was the second time it was installed, and it doesn't go back together as well.
You essentially had to break it to get it out.
Yeah,
so
those grooves don't come apart, right?
No, they're not meant to.
Yeah.
What it is they are sort of pliable a little bit when you put them together, but once they've been together, like this floor is maybe like 6 years old.
Yeah,
that long. It's like brittle.
Anyway. Yeah,
and they're not squishy anymore. Those grooves, they just kind of break.
Which I mean, at this point though, I was like, just whatever.
So
Put
they're
them
just kind of
together.
sitting next
Slide
to each
them
other.
together
fine.
until it's worth redoing
Yeah.
it
Until it's
again,
worth
right?
switching out.
They're not locked together. They're just kind of like sitting there. What was interesting
Honestly, you
was
could adhesive under it or something if you really
right, if
had
anything.
to, right?
But I mean, once you put the couch, the rug, like all
Right,
this
it's
crap,
not going anywhere.
It'll be fine.
it's not like you're gonna like trip and a board comes up or something.
It'll be totally
So,
fine.
Yeah, you step on it and it hits your forehead.
rake situation.
The only frustrating thing is so they don't quite go together, and you get like even the smallest, less than a millimeter, half a millimeter, even less than that, maybe. Instead of them being super flush, you get just the tiniest little bit of space. And when you do that across 30 rows,
adds up.
Yeah, all of a sudden
30
it's
times
like-
a half a millimeter.
Yeah.
When I got to the places where things had to be cut precisely, like around the basement supports, they didn't line up anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was the
Yeah.
only stuff where it's like, shoot, well, I got to recut some of this. But
Well, and
Again,
half of
fortunately,
it,
it's fairly easy to cut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just,
right, just
I
a
mean, that
jigsaw.
stuff, as far as flooring goes, hard to beat that stuff.
Yeah.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
well, I was just gonna say for spring break we did get to see Ryan and Natalie and Jeff and Devin and
That's
Sam.
right. Nice.
Which was awesome. So it was like a fun day of just hanging out. We did some board games, but like very casual, just like little games. What do you guys want to play? We did like monikers and ready, set, bet. And is it Nana?
I think
like
it-
Nana, like
It's,
teasing.
I think whatever the Japanese word for 7 is. However you would
Yeah,
say
I don't know.
Never mind that.
Nana.
It's a fun little card game.
I like saying Nana, like it's your grandma.
like it's your grandma.
Like a banana.
A nanner.
But yeah, I don't know. That was fun. It was awesome to see everyone. Jeff and Devin are definitely in that stage of like we have little kids, so it's kind of hard to hang out. So it was nice to actually hang out with them because
Nice.
they
Did they
still
get
have kids
wild?
of like
Did they accidentally like
They were
revert
wasted
to,
out
Yeah,
bad.
well, I
No.
mean, I don't know how old their kids are, but there is a period where you're like, whoops, I went off the rails
Whoa.
because
well, they're
I haven't done
definitely
anything.
still
The
in
problem
like we
with-
have nap stage for both kids,
Okay,
you know.
yeah.
So it's like where you're like, well, we can't leave the house because
Right,
this kid's sleeping
right.
at this time and this kid's sleeping at this time, and we have
Yeah.
like so.
Look, Ken, I've been there. Normally, you get the babysitter for the day before the night, and then you go a little crazy. And guess what? You have the kids back the next morning.
Yeah, you should actually
and
get.
you've never been that hungover in your life.
Yeah.
And you got to take care of kids. That's
You should really
Putting
double
kids to bed is
babysitter it.
easy. Putting
Yeah.
kids to bed is the easy part. If you're hungover in the morning, forget about
That's
it.
the worst. That is the
Forget
worst.
about it.
But yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Nice.
another thing I've been doing a lot of is
Thinking.
painting again.
Mike O'Hearn memes. No,
Oh man, can we just let's just watch Mike O'Hearn memes for you guys want to
No.
listen
that
to us
Lego
watch?
set,
Stop.
I think, is one of the funniest
Oh my
things
God.
I've seen in a long time. It's a bodybuilder Lego set.
Post that on the
So-
Game Night Dice one time.
It's still got the tiny little head, but it's like four
Like a
times as
Hulk
big as
body.
a regular
Made out of-
minifigure.
Yeah, it's made out of like car part, like Lego, like a
Yeah,
race
there's, like,
car.
Oh,
pipes
okay.
in it to make it look like really muscular and stuff.
And it's like a huge model, and then the tiny head. Oh man,
I love that lately Ken's been sending us Golden Girls like memes and stuff.
Yeah, I struck on some
Which-
weird vein of Golden Girl memes. And
I
what
love
was- it was
when you
across-
send it, I have to explain it to Ben usually, and he's like, "What is this?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, okay, here we go." And then I have to do a backstory, and I'm like, "It's not funny if you don't get it right away." So
I think the best one, it was an action figure of Bee. Is that her
yeah,
name?
and B. Arthur,
an
who plays
80-year-old
Dorothy.
woman that if you lifted the dress on the action figure, it's like a jacked like superhero underneath.
That's like a GI Joe underneath, but
Right.
it's her
like that was the
face.
only body that they had a mold
Yeah.
of that was
Right,
so tall.
they had. Well, we've got
That is
half
true.
a million
She-
extra GI Joe bodies. So if
Yeah.
you guys want to save a buck on these Golden Girl,
yeah.
Well, that's always the
Action
joke in the
figures.
Golden Girls is she's like 6 foot something,
Right.
and
Yeah, they're
everyone's
always
always like,
ribbing on
"Well,
her.
you're the linebacker, so." It's so good. Man, I
Plus,
love
they all
that
have
show.
shoulder pads on. that
Yeah,
are like
so it makes it
literal linebackers.
even
Yeah.
bigger. Yeah,
I
that's
should
good
watch
though.
that show, man.
Well, so I've been painting a lot. I had Reaper
Yeah.
paints at first,
Sorry.
and those are actually they're okay. They're not bad. And then I switched to Citadel because I was at the game store and they sell Citadel paints or whatever, right? A while back, I got a bunch of Army Painter paints, and I kind of used them on and off. And then I got like a big set of Army Painter paints, and I didn't like them that much.
They're
hate
didn't-
them.
They're
They're
budget.
fine.
They're budget paints.
Their budget.
They're
yeah.
very hard. You got to mix them a lot. If you mix them really good, then they're okay. But they really like to separate.
Yes.
I don't understand that.
That's weird.
But I like to watch Sarastro on YouTube, and he's always using scale 75, and Miniac's always using
insane.
scale 75. And I
Oh,
was like,
does he? I didn't know Miniac did.
I got to get my hands on some of the scale 75. So I bought the set. They're like scale
big
color
one.
set. I bought the whole set. Yeah.
Well, and that's why we can't get a roof, everyone. So
That's right.
That's right there. No,
Same monthly payments.
right. It's about
it was
the same cost.
$39,000.
And it has taken me a while to get used to them. They have like their medium is like a almost gel. It's not like super thin like water. It's like
It's weird.
it's like a gel
Sure,
kind of
you're
thing.
supposed to dilute it, but
Well, no, you just got to mix them up good. You got to
Really?
make sure that it's really distributed and put it out. But there's two things about these paints. They are super matte, like matte to the insane level. Matte.
I like that.
Matte. They're not.
I like that.
Ooh, I like Matt.
They're so matte. And then the other thing is, there's varying degrees to the different paints, but in general, they are more transparent than a Citadel paint. So
You gotta layer it up.
you have to layer it up. Now, for base
You mean
coating,
translucent?
well,
More
they're
translucent?
they're more translucent, right?
Okay.
They let more of what's underneath them show through
Yeah, okay.
than like a Citadel. So what I have found, it has taken some practice for base coating. Sometimes I
Yeah.
even go to the Citadel. I just need to get a color on there. But
Yeah.
then once you get your primer covered with these scale 75 paints and you start layering on lighter and lighter
I mean,
colors,
that's when painting gets good, right? Is layers, is
right?
patience and layers.
And they just, it's sort of, you don't have to thin them. They just sort of like,
Right.
you just layer them over the top of each other and they just sort of like blend nicely. These paints are awesome.
Yeah? Because
They're really good.
Layering is both time consuming and difficult and frustrating. And if you make a mistake, it takes
That is true.
layers to fix it, right? And you might not know you made a mistake until you're 5 layers in. And then it's sort of built up to a point where, oh, that just doesn't look right. Or it doesn't look, oh, man.
Oh wait,
Look at these guys.
These
I
yours?
painted
Holy
some giant.
cow.
So that guy in the
Yeah, that
front.
guy's really
This
big
doesn't
on the
really
right.
sell on audio, but there is a picture of a player mini from my D&D session, and then there
Yeah.
are 2 bosses that I
Those are
painted behind him.
huge.
They turned out so good. I was so happy with
They did
these.
turn out really good.
Like
Nice.
this dude's beard and his face. I worked so hard on these.
Look at these pictures you took with like random crap in the background.
Yeah, I know. But I love
Sorry.
like you talking about like the way you can just layer them. Like for this guy's,
They look really
Yeah.
good.
like
Yeah.
green.
His cloth looks great. Yeah.
Like these scale color paints are worth
Nice paints matter. huh?
definitely worth it. I like them.
What kind of
I
bottle
love-
do they come in?
A dropper bottle.
Thank goodness. Citadel pots. Fire whoever made
How do you get those out? You just
the
like
pots suck.
shittily pour, or
You
what?
no, you take
you
a brush. You
dip
just a
and then
brush and
spread it
dip,
on your
and
palette
but that's
and-
such a pain. You can't just
and,
be like
and,
bloop, bloop, bloop.
and the lid doesn't quite sit back.
never stays
correctly.
open all the way.
If
No.
there was a mechanism to keep that lid open, I'd be fine with the pot.
Sure.
But
I
it
wonder
currently
why
takes
they do
2
that so much
hands
then.
to get paint out.
But the thing is about Citadel, though, they come in those stupid pots, but the Citadel, like, paint
good
recipes, their pigments, their colors, very vibrant, very,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, they are
rich.
good.
And, like,
Yeah.
you know, when you take a paint when you take a paint out of the pot and you paint it on, when it looks like what it looked like in the pot. Like it dries how it looks.
Yeah.
That's what these scale paints don't do that.
Is there a
They
reason?
dry way more translucent than when you paint them on. So they'll look like bright and vibrant, and when they dry, they're like crazy matte
It's like
and
you
like
need- yeah.
dulled down. So you have to do a lot of layers.
I just wonder why they have them in that bottle. Like
The pot is so stupid.
What if it's
That's
one
why
of
I
those
use
scenarios where
army
like
painters.
once you know why they have that, you're like, oh, like it makes
There's no
sense
reason.
when there's some sort of
I'm
hack
sure there's a YouTube video out there like
where
explaining
someone's
it
like,
or
you're supposed to
defending
use it like
or-
this.
The
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
there's YouTube videos out there of people putting the pots into bottles with the little tiny
Yeah.
funnel.
Is that-
People who buy
What the fuck
100
then?
pots and then they put it in 100 bottles, and it's
Yeah.
Oh God.
cool.
Well,
Good way to
that's
spend
stupid.
5 hours.
Right. Well, you're like, that's so much work. That's so dumb.
Plus
But
you
then you know
lose
what?
A bunch
I've
of paint.
had pots for years. If I had spent
Yeah.
5 hours getting them into bottles,
Sure, but again,
But I just like why
It's 5
I don't
hours.
know.
Just
Let's
put
just
'em in the
contact
damn
them and ask.
dropper.
I wonder if they would just like tell us.
I'm sure, it's with Citadel, it's either one of two things. Most likely, there's a pot holder that you need to purchase.
Well, right. They're
right?
like, well, if you
they
use
want to
our,
sell you
yeah.
the accessory, and you put the pot in, and it holds the cap back, or this
Yeah.
sort of thing. And then second, well, they just want that's their thing, right? That's part of their
So-
brand.
I hate shit like that. That's like Apple.
Right.
They're like, that's
Oh,
just
yeah.
us.
Don't get me
And you're like,
started.
well, it sucks. It sucks in every
man.
possible way. But
Professionals use it, and it's
God,
like,
I
well,
hate-
fuck you.
fucking hate. Man.
Yeah.
So there's so much of that, especially at like art school, which is like
Oh.
art school. And everyone you have your Mac and you have, everything's Apple. And the whole time I'm like, I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why everyone's like, oh, I finally got my like iMac or whatever the hell they're called. So now I can do this. It's literally the same thing,
It's
but
a
easier.
computer.
I don't like.
It's
You're
a
just paying
computer.
4 times the price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my rant.
do you have any questions for us tonight, Em?
Oh my gosh, I do actually. Where's my phone? Ooh. I also did want to. I really quick want to tell this random story.
Oh, should I turn off the question music?
Yeah,
Too
just for
late.
a
It's already
second,
going.
Sorry. Just the other day, I just thought this was funny. So
Okay.
we were getting Starbucks for the kids because we whatever. We were like, sure, you guys can get a drink. So they got like their pink drinks and stuff. Do you know what I'm gonna say, Ben?
No.
Oh.
I don't.
And we're like holding the cups and trying to hand them back, and I'm holding a cup, and as Ben passes one back, he hits the cup that I'm holding, and it like splashes in my face. Like nothing major, but enough where I was like, what the fuck? And he looks at me and just goes, sorry. Like all angry in my face, and I was like, excuse me? Like, am I in what's happening
Get your
right now?
face out of the way.
It was just one of those situations.
It wasn't
where-
her face that was in the way. She was like, I'm like turning around to try to help a kid, and she's like slamming drinks
Just
into
in
me.
the car.
Yeah, and I was the
Oh,
driver.
yeah. I mean,
I'm
that's high
passing the drinks
intersection,
back
though.
too.
Right.
But him
Sorry.
looking at me angrily and going, sorry. And then later I'm like, was it my fault? And he's like, I said I was sorry. And I'm
What more
going,
do you want?
in the angriest, mean voice you could possibly say.
Excellent.
Look,
See, I'm
was-
such a strict
It was funny though.
driver. Doesn't have to do anything but drive. It should be doing nothing other than driving.
Well,
So I'm going to
that
put
would
the
be
blame
totally
on
fine.
Ben here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's just you looking angrily at me and yelling that in my face, and you're like, "That was my apology." I was like, "What
Yeah,
the
you were
fuck
asking
just
for it.
happened?"
Yeah.
Okay, I actually have 2 questions because they're both kind of short.
Nice.
And they
Okay.
are both from our friend Jeff, the mad board gamer. Very
Jeff.
angry guy.
Hefe.
Very angry. Very angry. So one of them is, what would be the worst name you could give a child? I'm going to say right now, there are lots of shitty names.
Yeah, there's too many easy, talk about low-hanging fruit.
Do we just have, do you have any specific names of kids in your kids' classes that you're like,
Sure.
oof?
That's
when,
probably yeah.
You know,
Do you remember Chasen?
Chasen and Benton. No, wasn't Benton. Was it Benton?
Jason's awful.
Bentley, maybe? I don't know.
That wasn't
No,
Bentley,
that's from Teen Mom.
We do know a kid named Brexley. Which is very like, is she a dinosaur? Is she like...
Like my stomach clenched.
G. Rexley?
Rexley. Is it spelled with an X or a CK?
with an X.
Brexley?
Oh, it is an X?
Who's Brexley? Who's this old friend?
Oh, yeah.
Brexley.
Yeah. Okay.
And Chasen.
Chasen.
I mean...
I always joked that I would have named a kid Jailer. Like the occupation.
Oh.
But we also
Spelled
have
the same.
right. We also have in one of our. I'm going to keep this as obscure as I can.
Yeah. Well, no. What do you think? Like a parent?
Well, no.
Is listening.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, not listening, but
Okay.
you'll understand when I finish the
Okay.
story. One of the kids in one of my kids' classes is a child of someone who ran for either congressperson.
I feel like I know who you're talking about, though.
Or like Senate.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
big,
Like big time. Like commercials.
hundreds of millions of dollars push to get either Senate or Congress position.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember what it was either, and they did not win.
Thank
but
God. I'm gonna say that.
We
right now.
knew the parent who was running was on the radio so often that their name is now like sort of like a joke. Not a joke in our. It's a celebrity personality that sort of went nowhere, and even my kids sort of understand that like this is a funny name because it was like it was all over the place, and then they didn't win and nothing happened, but there's a kid in the class of one of ours, and so
Oh my gosh.
it's a weird scenario where like never met this person in my life. I never even met the kid. I don't know the spouse. I don't know anything about them, but you've heard their name so many times.
Well, and then you say it like the way the radio says it and whatnot.
Right.
You
the
know,
kids recite
well,
the
it's
radio
blah, 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 blah,
thing.
blah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So and so wants to stop spending or spend more.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's all the same shit.
Oh my
in political
gosh.
ads. So it was just a weird thing to like. You
That's
kind of
so
like
funny,
whisper
though.
their last name sometimes when we talk about whoever.
I've been too busy listening to your story here, which was quite entertaining to think of an actual like
trying
bad
to think
name.
of what.
I mean, there's
more
lots of bad names than good names.
You know what
these
I
days,
hate
but
more
It's
than
true.
like, okay, the bad names suck, but the thing I hate more is just spelling the name weird just
Yeah.
for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
To be
Just
like,
to be different.
I
don't even know. It's Taylor,
Keep
but
it
it's
simple,
in some weird,
stupid.
like, I don't.
My favorite is always, and apologies to listeners.
Well,
I think
it's
somebody
gonna
was
happen.
named Ashley, ASHLEIGH. Ash.
No.
Ash Slay, right?
Slay girl.
Yes, girl. Slay.
Slay.
And so
I will just
if
remember-
you wrote happy birthday, Ashley, it would all be spelled with that EIGH. Happy
That is just
birthday.
like, oh God. Happy. I just remember one time I saw in a, I don't know, it's probably a magazine back in the day, and someone had the name Caitlin, and for the 8 part,
Don't.
It was a number.
Don't.
no, it
No.
was what's it called?
An ampersand?
Roman numeral. It was
So K and then
K
VII. Kate.
Oh.
and then LIN or whatever. And they were like, it's so unique.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I remember seeing that and being like,
Oh, no.
first of all, it took me a fucking 2 minutes to figure out what your kid's name is. If I saw
Yeah.
that, I'd go, I don't know what you're trying
That's
to spell.
insane.
Like, this must be a
That's
misprint.
bonkers. Like if you crash a Corvette into a wall and sell it as a one of a kind,
Right.
you're technically correct. Right?
One of one.
Aitlin. Like, oh my. ugh.
Kavilin.
I don't know about that.
Just spell it normal. Like,
Well,
I don't care if it's Brexley. Spell it like if I spelled out Brexley. don't like. At least it is an X and not
Rex
some weird
Slay.
like
and
S.
all
like,
of this
I don't
comes
know.
from a general frustration with the English language being very bad phonetically
That
in
is
general, right? So,
Oh my gosh! But okay, so our other question from
All right.
Jeff,
Question number 2.
the Mad Board Gamer, is: do you have any irrational fears or phobias?
Yes, I am afraid of every single person I meet, and
Well- Yes, we all have that. I have that. Ben also has like small bugs and or reptiles. Like if there's a
what's the one
toad,
where
I
you're-
have to get that.
what's the one where you're afraid of, like, organized dots?
Oh, like where it's like honeycomb, like
Yeah, like
I know
that's
what you're
a really,
talking about, but I don't
it's
know
not
what it's
me,
called.
but I just thought that was a super
like that's not me,
fascinating
but it's
one.
cool.
really?
I just think
never
it's
heard of that.
fascinating.
Where
yeah,
it's like, you know, like a honeycomb or just any like
and actually, if you look it up on
What is the name?
Wikipedia and you look at all the pictures they have of
Well, then
what
you're, like,
sets
creeped
it
out.
off, like you do. You sort of like very gradually go down this hill of like this is.
You're like, I
it's
get
starting
it.
to
Really?
make me uncomfortable.
Ben,
Yeah,
are you looking it up?
Fear of organized dots.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, because one of the movies I always recommend, the most recent Invisible Man one.
Is it in there?
Trypophobia.
There you go.
There is a trypophobia warning.
Oh.
Yeah. And I won't say
crazy.
any more.
Yeah, don't say anything
That's
else.
weird. All right.
But the
Which-
more you look at pictures that supposedly
is, like-
set off that fear, it creeps
You're
in.
like,
You're like,
I get it.
I don't like this.
Look at this guy's hand
I
is
feel
just
like
holes.
just
That's
in
weird.
general, too much of anything, I'm kind of
Ugh.
like, no thanks.
Well, I don't know about this.
I will say creepily tall, skinny people monsters in movies. That's
Sure,
a full-on fear. But something that probably is a straight up, I hate like if you're on stairs or something, or like something like where you could fall back for
Okay,
that's
yeah.
it's the same
Yeah.
like
is
heights
making
for
me
me, but to the
uncomfortable.
point like if someone's like, well, it's just like a
Exactly.
simple staircase.
The word is
Ben's
uncomfortable.
already uncomfortable.
If you look at enough of those pictures, it just sort of creeps in where it's like, I don't like this anymore.
Don't do like Google image search for that. For
Yeah.
trypophobia.
It's like sort of like an uncanny valley type thing where
That's
you don't
funny.
quite understand it until you experience it or you see it.
yeah.
And then you're like,
And then you're like, I get it. Yeah.
This is weird. And
But
I don't
know, like tall staircases for me. That sounds weird.
I don't think I
but
have
I
any
hate
deep,
it. I
tall
hate
or
it.
rational
Like
ones.
it doesn't have to necessarily be steep. Like you know how when you go up to a water slide, how it goes like up 5 stairs up and it like turns.
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
it. So
That's
I hate
fair.
You
it.
don't like that?
That's fair.
I can't take it.
That's odd.
It's a combination of heights and like claustrophobia.
I
almost.
yeah, I just like something it's like freaking me out right now.
I get it. I get
I
it.
don't like it.
Get it.
But anything like that situation, even if it's just stairs, I don't know. I just like,
Man, I
which I'm
love
fine with staircase, like normal
You
staircases.
love
but that,
staircases.
I fucking love
I
staircases.
love climbing up
man.
steep stuff that scares me. I find it exhilarating.
Ugh.
Well, like I've climbed steep. If I was climbing rocks that way, I would be nervous for height, but it wouldn't
Well,
be.
and we're talking about irrational fears.
It would be
here,
different,
right?
but
That was
the
the question.
staircase thing is where like I don't know, something about that I can't take.
Cool.
I wouldn't call this a fear. I'm sort of following at your vein, Emily. Something about big hotels that are, but if you've ever been in a nice hotel, everything's
Yeah.
just a little more spacious.
Yeah.
Hallways, doorways.
You
know,
don't like big?
The works. Big budget hotels where the hallway is like 3.5 feet wide.
I gotcha.
You know, where you have to like scoot past someone.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna
Just
pass.
sort
on
of that, not
So-
quite claustrophobia, but there's a lot of people in
But
here.
You don't want to go on a cruise then.
I will never go on a cruise in my life. We've
we actually
talked about
booked
that,
a
right?
date night dice.
I don't think we have, but what you're selling me, you're describing
get that,
a
though.
cruise ship. That's what you're saying.
A cruise ship is probably my most
Can you
irrational
imagine,
fear.
like those halls are
Literally,
probably
I
like
don't
2
fit
feet, like
in
they are.
anything.
Especially
Yeah,
a
Like you have to
budget.
turn sideways to.
Especially,
budget
yeah.
cruise
Shit.
ship.
If you're cruising on a budget, no fucking
Tiny
thanks,
room,
man.
tiny hall.
Not to
If
mention
you-
the window, like
You're probably below the
If
water line.
I mean,
Fuck.
there's like, there's so many layers of claustrophobia. Like,
I will
in
admit
a
that.
cruise ship.
The older I get, the more fucking weird fears I have, though. Of like shit where like the noise is too loud, and
If
I'm like, we
somebody
gotta stop.
gifted
Like I'm
me
just.
a cruise ship pass, I would say no, thank you. I would not do it.
I get that though. I
would
mean,
never go on a cruise ship.
that makes sense.
It's like, how many potential failure points can we create? And then let's take all those and let's make them mobile.
Put it on a mobile
and it's
boat.
in the fucking ocean.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I do find
no escape.
cruise ships. I don't like that. I don't know. It's
just-
cool you get to see things, but like
if you can
That seems
do
like
it, good for you. I would never ever touch that. No.
Ben, do you have any?
I don't know.
perfect.
No, I was trying to think if I have any
Toads.
weird
I saw a
fears.
toad the other
Because-
day, and I was like, "Well, that would scare Ben." So
Even my
Moths?
cruise ship thing is not a fear because I don't.
Yeah,
well, that's the
you're
thing. It's
right.
I'll
more
just
of a
never
like
be
I
there.
really don't like. Yeah,
Right.
I don't like bugs and stuff.
yeah. When
Really?
there's a moth in the house, I have to get it. Like Ben is like, ugh, and he's
not
like,
true.
freaking.
Nobody in my house
That
can
is definitely
handle a goddamn bug but me.
Or
It
if
makes
there's a
me
toad,
mad.
if there's like a toad on the deck, Ben is like, go get it. Like he's freaking
That's
out.
not true. I don't
That is
freak out when there's a
definitely
toad
true.
on the deck.
I saw
that you
him
need to go
cry
get.
one time because a toad
Exactly.
came up on the deck.
Exactly.
The only no, if you're
I saw a
like
big toad in the garden the other day, and I was like, Ben would hate this. Is my first thought.
That's what you thought?
Yes, because
You
you
have a
don't
twisted,
like bugs and
like-
toads. Okay, let's take it. The next time I find a toad in the spring, summer,
have
I'm
to
gonna have
eat it.
you hold. I'm gonna
Let's-
have you hold
You
it,
have to hold it,
and take
kiss
a
it, then eat
picture.
it.
how about we just don't do that
See?
because it's not going to be a
Right.
problem. We know it's
Look at him
fine.
try to wiggle his
He's
way
like,
out of this.
"Ugh."
Almost like a slippery toad himself.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
toads
Look at
and
this
moths,
guy.
you don't like. That's fine.
Slippery
I just say you don't
toad.
like staircases. It's like the weirdest fucking thing ever. And you're like, no, it's fun. I love toads. I would kiss a toad. Like, just say you don't like toads.
Look, I have to keep up my.
Do you remember when
mystique.
there was a bat
He's a
in your
tough guy.
parents' house? And
That was problematic. Yeah, that was a
there was
really
a
big
bat
problem
that got
for
in
me.
their house,
Oh,
and
you know what?
everyone
Go
was
ahead, sorry.
freaking out. And of course, like then I was like, I'll do it. And so we had I had like gloves on because who fucking knows with rabies and whatnot. We
Yeah.
had gloves and I had like a colander to try because it was just flying around the room and we're trapped in a bedroom with it. Ben's like, just get it. Just get it. And we're I'm up on the bed, like trying to. We finally did get it, and we got it outside. But it was just a scenario where, like, I thought someone else would do it, and finally, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm up to bat.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Look, just let me be
You've been-
scared sometimes, please.
That's fine. Just admit it. Just say
Okay.
it.
It's human. It's normal.
Yeah. I don't
On the
like
bat
fucking
thing.
spiders and shit. Yeah.
We went to bats don't generally bother me, but I've never had one in the house either. But
They don't bother me. I don't want it like in my face.
right, yeah. I mean, I
But-
don't want anything in my face. So. But we
People on
went to
cruise ships?
Australia and saw like a
Was it
bat.
one of those like toddler bats?
It looks like a cat hanging
Oh, no.
from a street lamp.
Nope.
And that was crazy.
Well, that's like a fucking kid is upside down
It's
hanging.
like if it hit me, it would hurt. Like it would, oh shit.
Like
you know?
a cat with wings.
Yeah. Like if you sort of just
That is
encased
scary.
a cat in like a light
well, that's like if
sausage
a hawk
casing,
would just like. That's scary. That's scary.
and it was just hanging under the light.
I mean, the
It's
bat we're talking about is probably
No.
like 2-3 inches. You
We're
know,
talking
it's
about
like
a mouse with wings, and you're talking about a
Right.
cat with wings.
right.
That's two different things.
No, I've always seen those pictures where it's like it's the size of a toddler
And this
it's
was
hanging
in-
from someone's
Where
house,
were
and you're
we?
like,
We were in Sydney, I think. Like
That's scary.
like a city bat. You know, like a
Fuck that.
Yikes.
I'm sorry. Like, if I'm walking home at night from someplace and a fucking city bat hits me in the face, are you
City
kidding me?
bat. I like that it would
That's
like
a species.
swoop and dive.
It's a
and
city
whatever.
bat.
That
I'm
is
pretty
like
sure they had
a
just
kid just
fruit
flying
over
into
there.
my face, though. That's insane.
They probably eat those
fresh-
giant spiders.
Oh my god, the spiders! They're
Oh,
no.
do we have time?
Yeah,
My mother
yeah.
told me a story.
Oh my god, let's hear it.
This is like 1992, 93, something like that. My mom and dad and her sister and brother-in-law go to Belize, which is South America. Not an
Okay.
all-inclusive. We're talking about a rustic,
Real
open
trip
win-
to Belize.
Yeah.
open window hotel
Nope.
where over your bed is a mosquito net
Fuck
Yeah,
shit.
okay.
because there's no windows, right? And you'll get eaten alive. I don't know
I
how
don't
this
like
happens.
this already.
They tell this story about how my aunt woke up because she felt something hit her chest,
Fuck. I'm sorry.
Okay.
and it was a spider. Fell from the net and landed on her,
Oh my gosh.
and they
I would-
lost their shit. I think they made this up, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think
You're
they did.
inside
Have you
this
seen?
net,
You're
right?
trapped
You're like
in the net.
you're caught in there with them.
That's like
Right,
being
it's like
in
a
the Shark
cage fight.
Tank with
Yeah.
the shark. Like
There's no
you're-
end to that story. I don't know how.
Then you're in the octagon.
She is still there fighting the spider. off.
Then they followed it up with they pay to go on an excursion. We're gonna go like swim in a a cenote, like an underground cavern pool
fuck,
thing.
No, don't do
Okay.
that.
No, we're not gonna get to the water. On the way there, the Jeep driving them out had to stop to let a spider cross. Because it would have
No.
I think that was. I think
like
they
that.
made that story up after the spider.
I
on
don't
chest
think
story.
they did, and I'm never
They had
going
to
in.
stop to let a spider cross. Hold on.
Like it was a turtle. Like,
Well, like-
you just.
Yeah,
like
well,
the
there's
Jeep
also
would break
flipping
down.
cat city bats, and I mean, like,
Yeah.
who knows?
City bats.
I will say it's not irrational, but a fear is when you watch those people be like, I'm gonna squirm in this tiny cave,
Oh,
and the hole
God.
is this big, and I hate, like, that is my ultimate fear. If
Yeah.
someone was like, you're gonna get in that cave
All right.
and you're gonna try to crawl through.
This one's a tough one. You're going to have
Hate
to
it.
dislodge your left shoulder.
Yeah.
hate
Right?
Hold on. I can
That's
only get through
so
here
much.
if I exhale all the way. So just a second.
Right.
I hate it. And they'll do videos where they're like, well, I got in, but I don't think I can get back. Why?
Hold on.
Why
I
are
can't
you
breathe.
in there?
Hold on.
And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I got in, but I don't know how I'm going to turn around.
So I'm gonna deliberately dislocate my left shoulder and puncture my left lung.
I hate it.
And I've had these two ribs surgically removed.
Remove so I can
so that I can
squirm.
explore this friggin' mud hole.
Oh, I hate that so much. Like that.
Yeah.
That would be like, okay, well, someone give me a pill I can crush the
I don't.
cyanide
That
pill
is
in my
not an
teeth.
irrational fear.
No,
though.
that's not
That's a
fear.
real fear.
That's
I don't
just
think any
fear.
of these are really irrational.
Like, you know.
Right.
Irrational is like, I can't use a teapot. Like, it's something insane.
Right. The,
Yeah.
keep- the way it tips scares me. I hate when it whistles.
Have you seen the necks on those things? Oh my god!
Right.
Look.
Gosh, that curve.
Don't even put in my kitchen.
Now you got me freaking out about like cave exploring. I remember I heard a story
Oh, I
about
hate
some
that.
guy who was like, no, I've been in this cave before, and we go this way, and he went head first to a thing that was like essentially like it went this, and then it was like vertical for a little bit, and he was like, no, you got to go this
Nope,
way.
No, you don't.
Well, that was not the way that you go.
Fuck.
That was a dead
Yeah.
end,
Yeah.
and
His
they
body's still down there?
yeah, they never got him out of there.
This.
I read a book. It was make
I
believe,
don't
but I
like
read
this.
a book about exploring underground like caves, all that
I
sort
don't
of
like
stuff.
that at
Yeah,
all.
and that's all it was. It was like 6 pages of someone trying to get through like a pinhole. And it's like, we can go back, right?
Yeah.
Right, like we
We're
just
gonna
can. We don't have to
immediately-
keep going.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that. Like, nope. But
All right. On that note,
Yeah.
I've got a quick one.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, because we're on animals. I think this is an irrational fear.
okay.
Getting bit by like fish. Like
Oh, no.
totally normal.
That is like spooky.
Like just a normal
What
lake.
do you mean?
Just like a sunfish.
Sunfish, yeah.
No,
Even in
it's
the
always a
ocean, right? There's
sunfish.
fish.
Oh no,
They're there.
Yeah, that
There's
scares
something
me.
about the mouth.
I don't like it.
It's those no, it's always those little flat ones that are by the beach.
Well, it's
by
like the sunfish.
Sunfish. They always bite
And it's
you. I
like-
hate that. It
And they're
hurts.
like, "Oh, that's a freckle," and you're like, as soon as one bites you, I'm like flipping
Guess
out.
what?
In the
Yeah.
That was my toe. That was not a bug.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I
Or
agree.
like,
I agree with
If
that.
you've been to the ocean, stepping on a crab, right? Like
I haven't done
statistically not going to happen. But you just think of them as like absolute pincers up, just waiting
always
for a
ready.
juicy
Or
foot
it's
to
like a
come down.
bear trap. You step in the middle and
Right,
then the
and then-
pincers
Yeah.
close in.
When in reality, it's like, no, they're like flat. They're a horizontal
They're not gonna-
creature.
No, it's going to close in on you and you're never going to get it off.
I can't think of any like weird fears that I have. Where
No, I don't have anything that's really out there. I don't
my
think.
craziest thing is I don't like tall stairs. It just sounds
I think that's
stupid, though.
fair. I think that's justified.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer because it's stupid.
Well, you don't like toads.
Yeah.
Got him.
Got him. Hey, let's get on to our top three. But first, let's take a little break and we'll be right back. All right, it's time for our top three countdown. The categories, again, what were they, Em? I think I have to put together my top three here.
Podcast,
Podcast, okay.
movie and TV, and recipes of some sort.
Okay, all right. Okay, I got one. I'm going to go first. Let's go clockwise. Me, Ken, and Emily.
Okay.
My number three is a cocktail recipe.
Yeah.
It's called a penicillin.
Ooh, don't care
Something
for that.
I had for the first time in maybe it was like a year and a half ago, something like that. It was not. I had it more recently, but then I saw it back to back in two different places. So we went over to my friend Quinn's house for game night, and he made us penicillins. And then we went out to a local restaurant here, and they had them on the menu.
Was that at
Ooh.
Astor?
It was at Astor, yeah.
okay.
They have sort of a rotating cocktails list,
Yeah.
and it just happened to be on there one time. And I ordered it. I liked it just as much then. So here we go. It is
Okay.
2 ounces of blended scotch, any blended scotch.
And we'll
Scotch,
just so everyone knows, we'll like put this in the Instagram post, so it's not like, hey, pull over a car and start writing the shit down, you know.
It's got 3/4 ounce of lemon juice, freshly squeezed lemon juice, 3/4 ounce of a honey ginger syrup. So you have to make that or buy that
Ooh.
somehow. Quinn
That
had
sounds good,
made
though.
his, and it was really good.
I just want.
He seems
honey
like someone
ginger
that
syrup.
would just, yeah, like doesn't that sound great for like a stir fry?
or
Sticking
like
some
I
of
would
that
eat
honey
that on
ginger.
like pancake or like
Right?
a
That sounds
fried potato
delicious.
type breakfast. Oh,
Man,
So it's the scotch,
Honey
the lemon
ginger.
juice, and the honey ginger syrup,
Shake it up?
and you shake that up with
Okay.
ice, right? And then you put it in a glass over ice. Then you top it with just a little bit of and what is it? Isla?
I don't
Like
know.
a single
Keep going.
malt scotch.
Am I
Very
supposed to know what that
peaty.
is? Oh.
Isla.
You just put an Isla single
How's it spelled?
single malt scotch. ISLAY. I
Okay.
think it's
L-A-
Isla.
Oh, ISY. No, that's definitely not
No,
Isla.
with a Y.
ISLAY. Anyway,
So
I have
more
no
scotch.
idea.
you just but you put that right on top. So that's what you smell when you go to take
Yeah.
the drink.
Sure.
But then it's this sort of like lemony, gingery thing that's
Super
the actual
refreshing,
cocktail.
sort
Sounds
of.
good.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
I bet that's great. Nice.
Very tasty.
Yummy, yummy.
And then you have a little bit of, after you have one of those, then you just go back and you just get a little bit of scotch for
Do
your
you
next one.
garnish it with anything?
Yeah, you are supposed to garnish it with a piece of candied ginger.
Makes
Oh.
sense.
Do you like
Yeah.
eat that after?
Yes, you can eat it. And in both instances, both at the restaurant and at Quinn's house. He had candied ginger, of course.
What is
Candied ginger is not like ginger that you would put on sushi, right?
No, it's not like that. It's more
That's
like a
more
gummy.
like pickled. Okay.
gummy?
It's like
weed gummy.
what I've had. It was kind of like gummy.
Okay. Huh.
Okay, I didn't know.
But
is
yeah.
it like when you? Well, whatever. I don't know why I'm.
I don't. It looks like a. I don't know. It looks. I don't know.
I'm picturing like when you dry mango, but
Yeah,
like,
it's like that,
Yeah.
but it has like a
like
little bit of sugar on the
crystallized
outside.
sugared ginger. I
Yeah, it
think
would
that's
have to be a
fucking good.
chunk, right? Sort of.
Man, I just want that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Well, you kind of let it fall in the drink, and then you get to have it at the end.
Well, yeah, but
It's good stuff. So that's my number
That
3
sounds yummy.
cocktail called a penicillin.
why is it called that?
I don't know, but I really like it.
I think that refreshing lemon ginger blast is the cleanse.
Yeah.
That's the
I would imagine.
penicillin
I'm
cleanse.
fantasizing about how it tastes.
I don't anything that's lemon and ginger. I'm there.
Pretty hard to be
Right.
bad.
So curious
Yeah.
why someone was like, what we should call this. That's all. I'm wondering.
Just so you know. All right, Ken. What is your number 3?
I'm gonna pass on number 3 because I don't have one.
All right.
Always
I want-
passing.
He's
to talk
going all
about-
in on 2.
I guess so. Sure. Yeah.
All right.
I don't have,
we'll let you. We'll let it slide.
recipe. I mean, it doesn't. I know it doesn't have to be a recipe. I've
Yeah,
finally
you can just
figured this
talk about
podcast
food
out.
you like. Like you
Well, I
could
was going to
literally
give
go,
away
I just
my.
like this kind
I
of
was
pizza.
going to give away
Like,
my famous cheesecake recipe. But I'm
Ooh.
not gonna.
Oh man,
Y'all can go
I
to
want
hell.
you son
No,
of a bitch.
I don't have anything
Take it
to
away,
actually convey other than my brother-in-law continuously sends me Instagram like food recipe stories,
Okay.
and it just makes me mad. Not
All
like
it
in a
does is make
mad
you
way.
hungry?
It just makes me hungry
Like-
and annoyed that.
I hate that. Well, I mean, I love it, but I hate it. I love it because
Right.
it looks good, and I hate it because I go, well, I
Well,
can't.
I'm not making fried chicken sandwiches.
I can't
right
eat
now,
that. It looks
so-
delicious, but I'm not going to have like honey
It's
mustard
10:30.
chicken. Yeah.
Yeah. All you've done is made me miserable now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I agree with
Boy,
I
that.
was totally
would be
content.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to go to bed very happy and just
Right.
mellow,
Yeah.
and now I'm sure would be nice.
I'm
Right?
starving now. I didn't know I was starving, but apparently I
always
am.
starving.
And not only
now.
that, where the hell am I going to get a gourmet fried chicken sandwich even tomorrow? Even if I woke
Right?
up and made it my lunch mission to get this high quality stuff that he's sending.
Man.
Anyway, screw that guy. He sucks.
Yeah, he's a loser. So,
Did I say who it was?
yeah.
Emily. No. What's your number 3, Em?
My number 3 is, so I kind of put down 2. So my chicken noodle soup recipe,
Ooh.
which
Oh.
Ben, you really like. This also has, so most of the time.
Can this be my number 3? I changed my
which
number 3 to
I'll
this.
post it because I don't have
I
like.
love your chicken.
I don't
need
have
it. I need to
everything
copy it.
in
Yeah.
it. So I'll like post the actual where I got the recipe. But the thing that it has all the normal
it's
stuff,
so good.
garlic, onion, carrots, like the whole,
Normal
celery.
stuff. Standard.
But it has ginger
Lots
and
of ginger.
What?
rosemary
Okay.
and
yeah.
is it pronounced turmeric? Right?
Yes.
Am I saying that
Turmeric,
right?
turmeric. I've heard
Yeah.
both. Is there an
So-
R there? Is it T?
So there is an
There's-
R, so that's why I wasn't sure if
Okay.
I was. So the ginger, the turmeric, the rosemary are the main spices, which normally I would not think for chicken noodle soup, but it works so good, and it actually makes it like so. Ben's gonna lose it. It makes it so like rich and like flavorful
Yeah.
that it's like my favorite
I'll
thing
have to
ever.
make some.
It's like it's aromatic, and
Yeah.
then it's also spicy from the ginger,
But, like,
not
not-
like pepper heat.
Not heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
And you would never think there's ginger
Got that
necessarily in it.
horseradish sort of.
Yeah.
it's like yeah, and it just but then it's chicken noodle soup.
Mm-hmm.
It's like chicken noodle soup, except it kind of explodes in your mouth.
Just turned it up a notch.
in those,
Nice.
but with chicken noodle soup flavor. Gosh, I want that.
really
Are we
good.
having that tomorrow? You can't bring that up without
I was
making
gonna
it.
make it, and Calvin was like, I don't know.
No, come
And So I
on.
haven't.
Well, I'm gonna make that, and then.
And then a
my wife-
penicillin.
With a penicillin, my wife makes a really good homemade I don't know if you've met her.
Well,
Tomato soup.
Really?
ooh.
Blend. You got to cook it. Tomatoes, like lots of onion,
Do
basil.
you cook like legit tomatoes in a pot? Like,
I don't know what she buys, like canned diced.
okay, but still.
No matter where you start from,
I mean, that's, yeah.
you have to blend it eventually anyway.
Ooh,
Okay.
that sounds good though.
I think the only reason you don't start from whole tomatoes is because you
feel
have
like it
to
would be a
take you have to
mess.
get the skin off.
Yeah.
The skin is actually super chewy.
And you have to boil them
When
and
you
then
cook
take the
it down,
skin off, and like
it's
that'd
a
be
it's a whole
pain. You might as well
massive
just
process.
buy whole tomatoes that don't
If you
have
go
it.
get whole peeled tomatoes in a can, yeah, you'll be all right. But like, there's something
sounds
about she
good.
puts a lot of onion in it, which
Okay.
once you cook it and simmer it down, it gets really deep too. It's not like
I'm hungry.
it's not
so
like that
hungry.
fresh. It's
Yeah.
nothing like a fresh white onion. It's
Yeah.
like this sort of deep, mellow
It's like
flavor to-
caramelized, like
yeah, it sort of burns even a little bit.
All right.
Cook it in like
Okay.
a thick.
Do you guys do that with
iron-
like grilled cheese?
Oh, of course.
Hear me out.
With
that's
sour,
so
and it's got to be
fucking good.
sourdough.
God damn it.
Get the
Okay.
hell
Okay.
out
Okay.
of
Okay. The next time
Man, that
we're all
sounds so
together,
good.
here. Fest
we do the two soups.
with
Grilled
the
cheese
penicillin.
sandwiches for everybody and the kids, penicillins to
Penicillins.
drink, and cheesecake for dessert.
Oh man,
Fuck. Okay.
Yes.
My other
Wow,
thing
that
I was going to
sounds
say really
incredible.
quick.
Doesn't that sound like the best day ever? That
That
sounds
does
like
sound
the
so
best
good.
day ever.
I'm gonna make that tomorrow.
I just
I'm
love
not
soup.
gonna go to work.
Do you ever
in the
meet a
morning.
person who's like, I don't like soups?
I don't
like
like soup, to be honest. I'm a
Ken?
I'm a stew
Ken.
man. If you
Ooh,
can
I
get
have a
me
good
to
chicken stew too. I should send
I
that
would
to
be
you.
much more partial.
It's also
to.
super easy, but it's delicious. Do you remember when I made that the other day?
I think I've
That
had
chicken
it.
stew?
I think I've had it.
So good.
But ironically, I like I love ramen, right? Which is all
I love
broth.
a good ramen.
But that's super fatty and anyway.
Well, yeah.
I'm a big soup guy.
My-
I love a broth I can
a
just
soup
drink.
guy.
Man, I love soup. But my other thing is, so we kept trying to do homemade pizza, and no matter what, my stomach hurt from like the crust. Like I
No way.
never felt
Okay.
good at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
the one thing that we did is the cheapest, easiest route, which is tortilla pizza. If you just make it on a flour tortilla, and
Yeah.
it's like a super thin, crispy, crunchy,
No issue.
you know, no issue, tummy wise, and it's
Tummy.
like super. Well, you gotta say tummy. If you're like
Yeah.
stomach issues, that sounds gross. Tummy is like, oh, that's cute. No, no issues, and it's like super thin, crispy, like
you
it
like
is
a
so
thin
good,
crust?
and it
Like a thin-
honestly takes 10 minutes to put it together and
Yeah,
pop
right.
in the oven.
Yeah.
And it is probably the best compared to being like, well, 4 hours ahead of time, I got to mix this. I'm going to let
Right.
the yeast rise, like
Yeah.
all this crap. No, tortilla
A lot of
pizza
work.
is like, it probably costs $2 a pizza,
I
if
think
that.
I saw a recipe ages ago of somebody who was using, just because one tortilla was too thin, they were doing something between two tortillas, and I don't
They, like,
remember
cream
what it
cheese
was.
or something?
No, because cheese gets all floppy and oily and
Yeah,
fatty, right?
that's true.
They
It'd be
were
very,
putting
like-
maybe it was just two tortillas with water so that they sort of
So
stick.
curious now.
Ooh.
and then
would
you
be
get some
good.
air in there and you get a little more depth to it. I don't remember what it was, but we should find it because, man, I'm so hungry now.
sounds
Can
good.
we stop? This is
Yeah,
I-
we're
I
going to
know,
have
I'm
to go
sorry.
eat,
Anyway.
actually.
Yep.
But I've searched and
Bye.
searched for pizza, and tortilla
Bye.
pizza is the best. So
Yeah.
when it comes to, if you like thin crust, of course.
I do
but
love a thin crust.
I love a thin crust. So it's good. All right, Ben, it's back to you.
Number 2, I used to listen to so many podcasts all the time. Like I was just like had so many that I was subscribed to, and I was downloading them all,
So
and I was
cool.
listening to them. And for some reason, I just have fallen off the podcast train lately. There's just a couple I listen to, regularly. But nothing compared to what I used to do. But you know what I started listening to again recently is Critical Role, the live play RPG. They do Twitch streams on Thursdays, but I'm way behind, so I never did the first campaign or the second campaign. I'm very new to Critical Role.
That's so embarrassing.
But I liked that I talked about on the
Yikes.
podcast
Yeah.
before the Vox Machina TV show, which is based on their first campaign.
Yeah.
And so I started listening to the third campaign last fall, kind of in prep for me going to run a game. I was like, I'll listen to some people play. But they're not playing Dungeons and Dragons the way people play it at their table. They're putting on a show, right? They're professional voice actors.
Right.
They have 8 players, so combats are not something that is typically like feasible to have come up often.
Yeah, do they like show that?
Yeah,
Or
they'll do like
they do it, though?
they do have combat. They're playing 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Do they edit it like where it's like, oh, this happened? Like
not at all.
It's just live
because they play it live. Yeah, they do live. It's
That's what I
live on
thought.
Twitch. And then like the next week it goes to YouTube, and then the audio of it goes to a podcast stream, and it's not like cleaned up for audio. It is it is a stream. It's a show. It's a visual show, and then the audio from that is a podcast you can listen
directly to it. Nice.
And it, they're playing D&D. Like it's. I don't find live play to be typically the way I want to consume D&D content. Like I live actual play, right? I'd rather listen to people talk about it or this or that, or I like this, here. I don't, and then I want to go play the game. I don't want to listen to other people play the game, but I have to admit, like these people are pros and they're putting on a show, and it's slow paced, but it is very entertaining. And now that I have a little bit of few months of DMing under my feet, listening to somebody who is a pro do it is a lot more beneficial than it was when I was like, I'm going to DM in a few months. I should start listening to this. And then I was just like kind of listening
watch an absolutely top tier performer do it, and then you go and you sort of like, well shit,
like if you look, like Matt Mercer is just an absolute pro, both with like him doing the voices and the story that he's written, and just like he's like, yeah, exactly. He just rolls with everything, and he paints a scene. That's the biggest thing I picked up from listening to it is like, oh, I need to slow down a little bit, put a little more detail in what's going on, so that you are like seeing something in your mind.
Well, and I think if you do that, having never done it at all, setting the stage puts invisible guardrails on it a little bit too. So not only do the players get a better experience, you get better feedback from them, and you theoretically stay on course as well, right? Because I know D&D can go off the rails very easily.
True.
But, it's like, well, you're surrounded by 4 stone walls and there's no way out.
Yeah.
And, there's a ceiling above you, there's a ceiling below you. You've put limits on them that they then have to deal with, limit it. Right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I think it's really one of the things that sort of like makes it not a board game, not just, a war game. Like I can sort of like say like, this is what's happening, this is how it looks. And all of a sudden, when you think back on it the next day or the next week, you like remember it.
Well,
like
you don't
happened,
think about the
right?
game as much as you think about the role play, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be role play first.
If I can get you to feel like you're there, then you're going to start making in-game decisions,
right?
And then we all are having more fun. Yeah. That was actually some feedback I had gotten from Seth that I wasn't doing enough of that. I think it was good feedback.
Oh, that's good.
So then to go and listen to somebody who's like the best at it and be like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like here are some ways that I could get better at this. And then all of a sudden I've just kept listening to Critical Role. And now I find that, it's sort of like slow pace, like easy sort of like entertainment is perfect for like when I'm running or whatever in the background. Cool. So now I'm 12 episodes into campaign 3. I'm having a good time.
Nice.
So they did like that. It was like was it like a cartoon, right?
Netflix.
Yeah, it's like it's on Amazon. It's a animated
or Amazon.
series.
Sorry.
Are they doing it that was for season 2?
That was for they did 2 seasons of campaign 1. And I
Are they
believe
going to do
are
it again though for the new one?
they are continuing through the campaign 1 storyline, and they're also starting up campaign 2 as another
one.
Another show, yeah.
I just remember seeing some of it, and so
that show is awesome too. But the actual Critical Role, it's pretty good.
Cool.
It's pretty good.
I believe I just heard that they are all signed on to voice over a role-playing video game.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Like a sort of, not quite, text on screen, but sort of half-animated RPG type. I don't know what it was called. I saw it on a YouTube video. It could be a different group of people, though. But yeah, I mean, you've got a captured market, right?
Well, and like the players in this game are like voice actors that you would know from all kinds. Like Matt Mercer is McCree in Overwatch. Ashley Johnson is
Ahsoka.
I think so. She's also in The Last of Us. She's
she's Ellie's mom.
Ellie, no,
or she's Ellie.
She's Ellie
in the show. She's Ellie's
mom. Oh, that can't be
mom.
Ahsoka then. Never mind.
In the show, yeah, but in Last of Us, she's Ellie. Like it's like I could go. Okay. You could go through every person on the cast, and I could be like, they're from this, and this, and you would be like, oh, I know all these people.
Nice, cool. I want to do that.
Cool.
Well, I'll start playing D&D. I'll run a game online.
We have flirted with the idea of
you definitely could
a remote D&D campaign. For those of us who are Midland displaced exclusively, we've talked about it.
I have more than flirted with that idea.
Is there like a tabletop?
I have deeply thought about that.
Oh, I'm sure you could find
to be, right?
There's a whole bunch.
Something close enough. Yeah.
There are many.
You could do it on mics, basically, right?
Well,
you could find a version where you're just playing from a notepad in front of you or something. I mean,
it would just be cool if there was like whatever app or what.
There's a whole bunch. Like when COVID locked down, we kept our D&D campaign going. We used Fantasy Grounds.
Okay, yeah.
You can also use Roll20, which so Fantasy Grounds runs out of Steam. It's like an app application that way, but you can do Roll20, which is browser based, and then there are a number of other options after that. There's all kinds.
Yeah.
All kinds. And then Wizards is making their own virtual tabletop.
I was going to say, I can't believe there's not a digital version.
Well,
I know it sort of betrays the whole concept, but also you got to pay those bills, man. A digital version would go gangbusters, right? I mean,
I think end of this year, next year, there is when it's supposed to come out. It's like it's Unreal 5. But everything looks like minis, and then like it's all going to be subscription based. Like if you pay for the premium pass, you can run any of their, Wizards of the Coast published campaign modules. I think players play for free probably, and then the DM is paying for the subscription, and then everybody gets to join in. But if the players want to pay money, then they can make their guy look cool.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
that's
how
like
it's any
video game.
I was just reading some article about. So they made the D&D movie recently. And I think somebody acquired Wizards of the Coast, and they were
Hasbro.
Yeah,
is that what it was? And they were like, "You guys are not milking this. Right. We're going to turn this into." I mean, and this the current movie that's out right now, Dungeons and Dragons. What is it? Honor Among Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is sort of their like litmus test for it, and the movie's done well, and they're like, "Yeah, this is like $1 billion IP." Yeah. You guys need to.
This has been a thing forever. Right. Like, why are?
Yeah, I mean, I know you want people at the table, but also, let's make some money here. So.
Kenneth stock and no.
Well, and we're it's been 50 years since whenever the first one came out. You can play online and not lose a lot of the camaraderie and the RPG elements. Right. So, let's do it.
Cool.
I'm glad you're saying that because, like I said, I have more than flirted with that idea. But let's move on for now. I'll talk. Well, we can take that offline and talk more about D&D online. Ken, what's your number 2?
I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to stay on podcasts as well. I don't have a lot to say about this one because I started. I don't think it's a podcast. It's a YouTube. It's a YouTube, said Grandpa.
A YouTube.
It's on the YouTube channel.
It's on YouTube.
Called Debt Free Millennials.
Oh my God.
And the only reason I'm saying it at all is because of that last word, right? Millennials. Well, I have listened to a lot of financial stuff over the years, and they are woefully out of touch with 30-somethings.
The current state of hey,
regardless of your financial situation, I think it makes sense I think her name is Justine, and her husband's occasionally on there. But, I listened to a lot of Dave Ramsey a long time ago, who is a boomer who thinks college costs $12,000, and all these, who thinks a CD account will return you 12% year over year, or just silly.
Right. It's stuff where he's like, well, here's my advice. Like, none of that even exists.
It was relevant
anymore.
40 years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And they do not change the formula.
Yeah.
Because they sort of have their captive audience, and they need to keep selling that to them. And so that makes me feel super icky about that whole aspect of like, well, this is just content, right? Yeah. This is how Dave Ramsey cashes a check. And I don't think he's necessarily interested in actually providing advice anymore. It's sort of, if your square peg doesn't fit in my round hole, well, I guess you're fucked. Like that's his financial advice. Sometimes, and that's not super helpful. So I just think she's interesting, and been listening to it. I got a workbook here, and just sort of somebody who's been through, like, particularly people our age who had to go to college under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Right? And for most people, that means you have college debt. And for a lot of people, that means you're not necessarily monetizing that degree that you had. And so what do you do in that scenario? Right? Okay. Which is a super crappy scenario.
Sounds familiar.
Well, I mean, it's, and I don't want to pretend like we're not responsible for our own financial decisions, but we had to go to college. If you're 35,
totally different scenario back when we first entered college compared to now.
Yeah.
Like it was.
I was trying to figure out how to save for my kids. And, they have these savings accounts that are specific to college education. And I'm like, yeah, but at the current rate, college degree will cost you $560,000.
Yeah, like you don't gotta go. Like it's
and you'll take home about $45,000 a year.
Yeah,
based on what you studied, right? So, okay, well, 529 accounts don't really make sense in the current funding situation. So, okay, what do you? I just think it's refreshing to have somebody who, and I'm sure this is true of our parents who liked Dave Ramsey or whoever else, find a financial podcast or a financial, find talking points that are relevant to your age group. Yeah. And if you happen to be 21 and you're listening to this, don't listen to this podcast. Go find a 20-year-old. Someone who's talking about finances in their 20s, right? Sample old folks who have made mistakes and learn from that. But my God. Like, I maybe I'm out of touch, but boy, this stuff shifts a lot over time.
It definitely shifts, but it's also like, I feel like the past few years have just been ultra crazy where you're like,
yeah, that's sort of the exception,
but
right?
But still, it is helpful to have someone who's like, no, I was in the same boat as you. And so here's the best scenario where someone who's slightly older, even like 5 years older, you're like, no, it wasn't like that. Like it was a different thing.
You've been in the same job for 20 years and you didn't have to get a degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you might not make as much money as me, but you don't have to make a monthly payment that I have to.
You don't have to pay $1,000 a month or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
It's really basic math, but a lot of existing financial advisors don't play to generations.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's let me pitch a podcast for somebody out there.
I'm sure there is, but
do generational gaps or something like that where,
true.
hey, you lived through, guess what? You narrowly avoided the 2008 housing crisis, but on a lot of levels, it hasn't recovered. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, Debt-Free Millennials. She's on YouTube. I think she's really good.
Okay.
Very down to earth, very low production, which I think is.
I feel like that shows though you just have the information.
Right.
Like you're not trying to do a big show. You're just
She's not
I know what I'm
selling me
talking
something.
about. Yeah.
I'm happy to buy the workbook because it was information first and not. I've got some advice. It's $140 per year, spread out over. We accept.
I can't do this.
Yeah,
Can't do this anymore.
For people,
cool.
I highly recommend it. Yeah,
Cool. I'll check it out.
That is
Debt-Free Millennial. Got it.
That'd be great for debt free.
Yeah,
what a concept.
That would be fucking insane.
Hey, Em, what's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2 is a movie, which I don't know if you have this, Ben, or you have this, Ken, but the Mario movie is what I put down.
I want to see it.
Oh, okay. You haven't seen it?
No spoilers.
So we shouldn't spoil
Okay,
it.
won't spoil it.
My wife took 2 of the kids. I have to take the third, and whoever will come with me. I want to see it.
So at first I kept hearing that it wasn't that great. And so I didn't want to go.
similar.
And then a lot of friends were like, no, it's like really cute and good. We went, I thought it was good. I don't see any issues. My only thing would be like, yeah, the story was like, but also
It's Mario.
They're not
no
going for the story. They're going for more like, hey, do you remember when you played this world in this game? And do you remember this world? And like, isn't it cool that you're visiting Donkey Kong? And like, it is more of you're in that world.
I know what I paid for with my ticket.
Yes. I'm not expecting
expecting
to be like crying at the end of the. I don't expect a good storyline. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I thought it was cute. What'd you think?
Well, I think Ken's expectations are spot on. I think you're going to have a wonderful time.
Yeah.
If you're just thinking you're going to go visit the Mario world
I
for
want
2
to
hours.
see live action
what it is.
Donkey Kong voiced by Seth Rogen.
Yes.
Because that's worth the price of admission alone. even if he just
Yeah. Exactly. I don't
Just
know.
a
I
couple
thought they
lines.
did a good job with the voices. I thought they did a good job with like the personalities of the characters because you just see them in a game. I like that they like the way they made Peach. I thought was great, and the way they made Bowser was really good. I don't know. I just feel like they did good because it's more of, hey, I've played all these games since I was little. Let's see what it would be like in their world. I don't need this storyline where I'm like, this is mind blowing. It was still fine. It was still good. It just, I think people expected like way too much or something. I don't know. I thought it was fine. It was good.
The games have never progressed past
Like Peach is taken by Bowser.
man
like,
in
that's
red
about
hat
it.
jumps on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like
Like not much is happening in the game,
Like, if
so I
you
don't know
take
why we thought like Mario's
easy
going to
examples,
solve
Harry
a scientific.
which evolved over an age group, right?
Yeah,
Mario is intentionally timeless and simple, and
yeah.
there's not a lot going on here, guys. There's
I
the
thought it was
bad
good,
guy.
though.
There's the good guy. Okay.
I liked everyone who did the
I've never seen
voices. No, but it was like people are like, I don't know, there's not much to it.
I just
It's
think people need to
Mario.
lower expectations
calm
about
down.
like what is clearly a popcorn kids flick.
But it wasn't because I've been to kids movies where you're like, well, they enjoyed it. I enjoyed it still. So I feel
Okay.
it's still one of those where I'm like, I thought it was still good. Like if the kids were like, can we watch it tonight? I'd be like, sure. There's some movies they would go, can we watch it? I'd go, well, you guys can watch it. And I'll be upset.
Right.
Well,
like I'm thinking of like sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I was just gonna say there's so much going on in the screen throughout the entire movie because, like you said, it's fan service. Let's take the Mario world and we'll like enrich it. We'll fill it out and we'll take all these characters who don't have any personality and we'll make up a personality for each. What's Mario like? What's Luigi like? What's Toad like? What's Peach like? What's Bowser like? Man, Jack Black's Bowser was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I would totally watch that movie again to be like, oh, well, cool. I'm going to like see all the stuff I didn't see. There's so much. It's very rich in detail.
Okay. And it's like, it's beautifully done when it comes to the animation. Like that's pretty and it's fun to see. So it looks really great. I mean, so overall, I was like, I really enjoyed it. I don't know why people are complaining if at all. Well, I would just say, go, and even if your kid doesn't know Mario, they'll still enjoy it. Like it's still fun.
To know Mario, I'm tempted to put it between. Excuse me. Like you said, like, well, you guys can watch that. That's Minions for me. I'm not a Minions person.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it on. I'm gonna head upstairs
down the basement. Let me set it up for you.
See you later.
Exactly.
Right. Turn it on. You guys stay down here and watch Minions. On the other hand, you've got like animated stuff like Pixar. Right, like an Inside Out or a WALL-E or an
I'm gonna
Up,
watch with you.
Which I don't think anybody expected Mario to be like either tear-jerkingly dramatic, but also, you know, I would never expect a Mario movie to have those sort of jokes just for parents laid in.
Yeah.
Which those are great movies. I love when they do that. Right? Like a Pixar, they know how to sort of layer kid jokes and adult jokes where you both sort of wind up laughing at the same time, but over different things.
Different reasons,
Right. Which Mario's like, no, Mario's not going to make like a big butt joke, like high level sex jokes, you know, like, or about like a joke about his ex-wife or something where like, no, he's a cartoon plumber.
But it's still like
let's land in the middle. Okay,
I thought it was still good though. I enjoyed it, and considering going to the movies these days is like, what would you like, my right hand or my left hand when you're going with the whole family? But I thought it was
$60 later.
It was like insane. They're like, do you want the $20 popcorn or the $30 popcorn? You're like,
neither.
Holy
F. Kids, they're out of popcorn.
Yeah,
the machine's broken.
Everything's broken.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really good. It was fun. It's fun too because we grew up with Mario, so like I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I recommend that.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, Ben was kind of like, wah, wah.
It's not a movie.
I'll back you up. I've heard it's very, very thin on actual plot and character development.
I mean, if you even tried to like apply any sort of like 3-act story arc to it, you would have a really hard time even like doing that most basic thing. It's sort of just like a showcase of Mario in movie form.
Well, and that's intentional, right? Because
I'm fine with
Mario has always been lacking in detail on purpose, right? He doesn't speak. This is the first time we've had Mario speak.
I don't know. Did you ever see that old Mario movie? The like live action
that one doesn't count. I've seen it many times.
But I mean, it's a side-scrolling, super simple. You jump on the back. It's a simple game, and the fact that they just made the movie, it's just a version of the game, but simple, but still good and decent.
Yeah.
I think if they went too complex, you'd be like, why the fuck was Peach trying? Like, it would be insane.
You don't have to give like. Does this movie benefit from showing Mario and Luigi's parents die on a ship prior to that?
Right?
And then
you're like,
at the end, we reveal that Bowser destroyed the ship?
No,
thank you.
Yeah, and it's a very simple, like, it's exactly like cartoons in the 90s. It's a very simple plot, and
there's the bad
that's
guy.
all I want.
There's the good guy. Okay.
Yeah. Who's going to beat who?
Right. Yeah. I can't argue with you at all. And I think everything it was trying to do, it did successfully. It was, and it did a very good job. Looks great.
I think Ben was thrown off because like our audio was weird in the movie theater.
Oh,
no, that's
that would
true.
bother me.
And so that threw you off, which it did at first for me, but then kind of got used to it.
Sounded like the front center channel was off, and I was just going insane.
It was like
that would bother
a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
I would leave and Karen that up.
So that was
Get a new
annoying.
ticket
Right.
yeah.
But I mean, I would say if you have kids, just go see it. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that brings us to our number ones for this month. I'm going to lead off. My number one is another movie. Ken mentioned it earlier. It's the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that was a good
Honor
one.
Among
I want to
Thieves.
see it. What's your number one, Emily? Hold on. Let's all get on the same page.
My number
'cause-
one is a podcast. You're not gonna
Okay. Okay.
have it.
Well, shoot.
I know. If you do, I'd be surprised.
I loved this movie.
I want to see this so bad.
It was really good.
I have a big problem where I go to the movie most of the time. If I get myself up to go to the movie theater, it's some sort of like summer blockbuster because like I want to see that on the big screen,
Yeah.
and then I end up starting to fall asleep in the third act because all those movies are all exactly the same.
Oh, they are.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
They
I
are.
can't stay awake.
Most of
It
them.
just there's nothing going on. This movie had me entertained, glued to the
It
screen
was good.
from start to finish. I really enjoyed it, and had just we were just talking about Mario. There's all kinds of like little nods and like. Oh, I've seen that in the game and this, and oh look, it just said World 1, 2 when they went down in the sewers.
yeah. That was fun.
The Dungeons and Dragons movie is the same, like, oh,
Like
they're
little
like,
things,
I know what
yeah.
that is. I know what class that person is and what class that person is, and I've seen that spell. But at the same time, if you didn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons,
Still
it's still
get it.
like a
It's
fun
still
Yeah.
fun.
fantasy movie. Like
Good.
like the story is good. It's funny, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like also interesting, but it's serious, but like it doesn't take itself too seriously. I had such low expectations for what could a Dungeons and Dragons branded movie possibly be.
Right.
And then to go and watch this and just be like, this was a blast from start to finish.
Oh, man.
Man, I really liked it. I enjoyed it. And then, yeah, they're like, oh, and they're talking about the Red Wizards of Thay and Zaztam, and I was like, I fought Zaztam. He's the bad guy in our campaign. You know,
Then
like
yelled it out in the theater.
I know that guy. He's a bad guy.
It is good. Like I really enjoyed it. I don't do D&D, but I enjoyed it. And they also, I don't know, the way they made it funny, but not like goofy. Because some movies you're
Sure.
like, well, that's like stupid goofy. It was
Yeah.
still like serious but goofy, but it was good. I don't know. I really liked it. a
Right.
lot.
Even I feel like even the obvious jokes were like landing for me. Like when the guy's like going
Yeah.
on and on about how complicated it's going to be to get across this bridge. Like in the first part, we got to go this to here, then jump to this, then do that, and he's halfway through his spiel. And then
they
the whole
solve it
bridge
right away.
goes do 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 do, and he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Oops, I put my foot on the bridge." You know, it's like you
Yeah.
see that coming a mile away.
Yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
the way they do it is really good.
I've
it's
heard
a very we haven't
excellent things.
like when's
Yeah.
the last time there was a funny, lighthearted movie? I feel like there
That
hasn't been one in
wasn't part of a major
yes. Like
extended
Right.
universe.
Us-
Yeah.
right.
Because this is essentially,
Yeah.
well, this D&D's
I
50
agree.
years old. This is essentially a new IP for the big
It's- I
screen.
mean, yeah.
It is.
And to just like
yeah.
knock it out of the park like that, I was just like, this
Yeah.
is awesome. I'm
I
having,
liked all the actors and the characters and like
there's like the perfect
all good.
paladin guy, and everybody like they need his help. He's so helpful, but they hate him because he's perfect.
because he has like no personality and he's like weirdly perfect. So
Yeah.
but they say it, which is funny. They're like, well,
Right.
you suck at talking, but you know, you helped us along, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever.
But,
so
and then they
Is
have
that
to
the
get
guy
like
from Bridgerton?
yeah.
Which is so funny because, like, I feel like that's very intentional casting.
I feel like that poor guy is like never gonna get away from that at this point. But
But this is a good.
But
maybe
you're
not.
But it
so
works
you're
perfect,
so
yeah.
right, Ken.
Exactly.
The whole movie is on the nose. The whole thing is
Right.
just, and
Yeah.
every single one of them lands. Like it's just like
Nice.
you just see it coming, and it just keeps delivering on all those things it's promising.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to pat myself on the back because we talked about the trailer for it that made me laugh really hard, which was maybe it was only in the trailer, but there was sort of a here's the paladin, here's the barbarian, here's the wizard, here's the this, that. And what does Chris Pine do? Right? He pulls out the loot and comes
Yeah.
down and it was like it's self-aware enough to like
Right?
yes.
we're not going to guard the D&D intellectual property like it was sacred, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they
We
definitely
can poke
do good
fun
at that.
at the actual player experience without making fun of those players, right?
Yeah. I feel like they
which
did
is
good
a
at that.
weird. It's apparently a difficult thing for Hollywood to do, which is like, you can self-satire without making the people who like this feel self-conscious about liking it,
Yeah.
sort of
Right.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
there's a difference. I hate that show, Big Bang Theory, because it's like, well, this is not about nerds. This is making fun of
making
nerds.
You're
fun of
making fun of
nerds.
them, but yeah, exactly. No,
Whereas,
this is
this
a much
was-
more like user-friendly version
Yeah.
of that.
This was
yeah.
like, no, this stuff is cool. Right?
Yeah.
This stuff is
It can
cool.
be cool.
It's
if you
cool, but
lean
here are
into
all
it.
the like silly parts of it.
Right.
But they,
Well,
Yeah.
Just like
right,
real
like
life, right?
never
Right.
once in the movie do they say Chris Pine is a bard, right? He never like says I'm a bard.
No.
No.
Guess
Okay.
what he's doing the whole movie? He's inspiring everybody around him, making them
Yeah.
all better. What does a
Right.
bard do mechanically in the game? They hand out bardic inspiration. That you get to roll extra dice on your rolls
Yeah.
when there's a bard.
well, it's also that thing, he's like a little extra lucky kind of
Yeah,
scenario.
and he's the
because
charismatic person.
yeah,
Right.
What's your
exactly.
highest stat when you're a bard? Charisma, right? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
it's like it was like seeing a D&D campaign played out for real,
Yeah.
It had all the dumb jokes,
I can't
but it had
think of
all
a
the
better
stuff.
endorsement, right?
It was really
It's
good.
got the experience, but it doesn't. I will say, I think we talked about this before as well. Slight spoilers for a movie I haven't seen. I was very refreshed and exhilarated to hear that at no point in the movie do they pan out and it's six
Oh,
or seven people
like a
playing
board game?
Dungeons and Dragons,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
which I think would have been a mistake.
Yeah, that would have been like annoying. I don't know. I wouldn't have liked that.
Unless it was at the very, very
I
post
still
credits.
wouldn't like that because then
But
it's like
even-
everything you just
Nah,
watched
that
doesn't
would-
have the meaning.
cheapens-
Yeah,
it
you're right.
cheapens all
Yeah.
the danger and the excitement and everything else.
You're
No,
right, 'cause I
this
think-
is just their world.
They're
Like
just
this
in it.
is yeah.
Yeah.
The movie is supposed to make it seem like the Forgotten Realms is a real place. All this magic
Yeah.
and these weird, like, different kind of like species and stuff are real.
Yeah.
And this is a thing. This is what it looks like,
Let me
Cool.
ask you a question. What's the soundtrack like?
It was very if you said play like Dungeons and Dragons RPG. You know what I like? It
Yeah,
was like a
generic
like what we
medieval-
did for Gloomhaven
Okay,
back in the day.
okay.
It was good though. Like it was
'Cause-
really good, like on point. The background,
Okay.
like we're at a tavern, like that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
I ask because the trailers have like Led Zeppelin in it, and so it was a question of, well, are they going for like a Guardians of the Galaxy type
No,
thing?
I feel like it was
Where-
more like it reminded me of D&D. What do you think, Ben?
Okay.
Did it have the other?
I don't remember. I don't know.
I
excited
remember
to
it being
hear-
like more tavern, like D&D music kind of scenario.
I'm excited to hear that because I don't think we need another. Well, here's them fighting
Here's
to
80s classics while you
that Matrix.
which even if they did that at all, like
Yeah.
I never
Maybe you
noticed
didn't
really.
notice, which is another compliment
Yeah.
to it, right?
So if they did have that, I didn't take it as that.
That's the thing,
man, I
right?
wanna see it.
I didn't notice. I don't know. I was totally entranced. I was
Wow.
just entertained. I was having fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
Sold.
Ken, what is your number one?
I've also got TV and movie, and I have to ask. I'm back and forth on this one, but I'm going to pick right now.
Okay.
Where are you guys at in Mandalorian season 3?
I just finished it today.
It ended today.
Yeah. Ben has not seen any of it.
Yeah, I haven't
That's
seen any.
actually great. That's meaningful for.
Did you finish it today?
I finished it.
Okay.
I don't know how to.
You can't spoil it.
Well, we don't have to talk about specifics because what I want to talk about is, does this season work? Is this a good season?
I think they were attempting this season to be like, hey, do you guys like it this way? And I feel like most people were like, not really.
Yeah.
And I feel like most people that, at least from what I've seen online, are like,
this did
not really my thing.
I mean, they wrapped it up.
I also did not like most of the season, I will admit. Most of it I was kind of like,
that's fair. I think that's fair.
I think the ending was at least good. I did like the last episode. I think it at least like made it. They kind of like put it in a little package here.
It's like,
I don't know if they were just trying to introduce stuff or what, but overall, which I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, here.
But I feel like they lost his personality. I'll say that.
Yes, I think he got lost in the mix.
And so I don't know if they're just trying to be like, but look at all these other personalities. But overall, I'm like, yeah, but you remember the one I liked?
But my problem is we spent a lot of time on unimportant things.
Oh, yeah.
Not in an exciting monster of the week type of way, which is how we've described it in the past.
No.
Like Witcher or X-Files where, I know we're not on main plot right now, but this is cool too.
And I guess now that I think about it, I liked the last episode, but now that I think back to some others, why the fuck did we watch those?
I
guess I don't understand.
Interesting until
like I'm just now thinking
6
of
of
it.
8.
Yeah, and even then, it's still like, well.
And then you're buried in a cavalcade of plot points that sort of come together, but they had to do was tease it a little earlier and plant the seeds for the main plot, whereas you're sort of like, you get shoved main plot in your face.
I think they're just, are they going to try to make another show with, what's her name or something?
Well, I mean, that's a bigger picture. I like her a lot. I think the parts with her
I just don't know if we need to do it this way.
From what I understand, the general discourse is that it's more about the Mandalorians, plural now, which I don't know if I want.
I don't want. I'm going to say it right now.
I want cowboy.
Most of them I don't care about.
I like her. I like
her, and I like him.
Her plot.
The rest of them are kind of like annoying.
Yeah, and also they're all dumb. They're all being elite warriors.
Exactly. That is the other thing. That's the thing I always had a problem with. So in the first season, they're like, "Whoa, I've never seen a Mandalorian," and it's very this like they're the best at the best. They're the top of the top. They are the right. They're so it's crazy to even see one or hire one. And then these guys are like boop 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 fumbling around, and you're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" If you're, I remember you're lowering the bar immediately.
I remember joking with Ben about, I think in season 2, Mando, Din Djarin, he's not that good. Like he'll get bonked real hard every once in a while.
He definitely gets bonked a few times.
But in this season, it's like 40 or 50 Mandalorians sort of like Larry
around.
Curly and mowing through certain situations.
Really?
Yes.
Because I think it was a bad choice. We're creeping into spoilers for anybody listening.
Yeah, spoilers if anyone doesn't want to. They're probably not spoilers, but just if you don't want to know anything.
I'll keep it light. They're creeping into the bad guys being too powerful.
Yeah,
that's how I'll say it.
Why do they keep doing that at the end of each?
To where like the Mandalorians aren't skilled warriors anymore.
Yeah, and then it looks like
because the bad guys are just as trained or better.
Yeah,
and there's lots of them. And
so it's like, look at my new army, and you're like, well,
we're not talking about
every time
anymore.
Yeah,
right. He's not. This is not him versus 12 guys in a courtyard, and you believe that he could kill all 12.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But like
he slips on a banana peel and like,
oh my god, there's a lot there's a lot of Mando though where you're like, what the fuck are you doing this season? There's a lot of him where he's like, I need help. And you're like, do you? What are you doing?
Get up.
There is a lot of that.
You have impenetrable armor. I've seen you shot 100 times.
Well, in the first, I don't know if it's first or second season, when they're getting that guy out of jail on the ship, and they sneak into another ship, get the guy out of jail. They of course turn on him, lock him into a jail. He fights so many stormtroopers, breaks himself out of jail. All this shit happens in the first season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then this season it's boing from behind, and you're like, okay, well he's down for the whole episode.
This season's really bad. Actually, now that I think about it.
So because I watched them all quickly back to back, I was like, I'm sorry, what happened? And all of a sudden, every episode, it seems like he's like, I'm in a pickle. And you're like, what the fuck happened?
Damn it, you're right.
Because you watched them all...
quickly.
All season 1, 2...
1, 2, and 3
Boba
within
Fett
2 months.
Season 1 is immaculate.
Yes.
Season 2 has its hiccups. Because they introduce a lot of... It goes very here's Ahsoka. She's going to have a show. And here's
exactly.
CGI Luke. And he's going to have a show.
They even say several times where they're like, well, let's hire the Mandalorian because they're amazing.
This is the guy.
This is the guy. He can get in and out of any situation, right? They're it's crazy to even see one, let alone hire one. And in this one, it is well, the banana peel. And you're send help. What the fuck are you doing the entire time?
I'm gonna dig deep on one particular thing because Megan watched it with me and she does not complain about anything. She doesn't complain,
Okay, so she. Yeah.
There's, I think it's episode 2, a dragon. All the Mandalorians live on some shitty planet.
Oh yeah.
There's a dragon / whatever Star Wars creature.
Whatever.
Takes the kid, grabs a little baby Mando, flies him off to the nest. They are in absolutely no rush to save this kid.
Oh, they're like, we'll head over there tomorrow or in 2 days.
It takes them multiple days in show.
He would be dead
to get to the kid.
First of all, I feel like you're it would pick him up and be like, done.
You kill it, right? You bite the kid's neck or something, and Johnny would be dead.
They're so at first light, we'll head out. First, we'll scout. Then we'll see what's going on.
She flies back.
I will fly back. I will let you know.
We'll go there. We'll
then
walk.
The next day.
We don't want to scare it off with the ship. And
that too. They're it'll hear our ship. Who the fuck cares?
You followed it to its nest.
I don't. And then they're like, then we'll climb the mountain. It's going to take a 2-day hike. Yes.
And it's the kid is dead. Yeah. He's gone.
Well, it didn't help that his dad is the biggest banana peel of them all. So
yeah,
his dad. First of all, it's if I was not only am I going to go get him, but I'm going to bring the biggest camping shit with me. He has too much guns and shit. And he's whoa, the whole time.
I did not realize how bad this season was.
It was bad.
We had this
my only thing I liked is I feel like the last episode I saw a little bit of the original Mandalorian, and that's where I was okay, maybe we're bringing him, but maybe we just had to get through something, or I don't know.
Man, they handled this shit so weird because we talked before.
It's very weird though.
He recovered Grogu in a different show.
Okay, which I went back and watched those. Thank God, because without those it makes no sense. With those it fills in a lot of gaps. It's 3 episodes you have to watch.
It was a whole Mando movie.
It's insane.
Just inserted into Boba Fett.
I don't know. So this one,
will there be a season 4? They've said they're going to make a Mando movie.
Okay, but then I heard they're done, and I'm like, but why would you do that when it's so popular? I don't know.
They'll keep him alive, and he'll go back to being a mercenary, and it'll be back to
okay, but there is an episode 2 in this which has nothing to do with Mando. I don't know what episode it is. It's one that completely follows someone else, the scientist
episode 3. The longest episode in the entire series.
I think you see Mando for maybe 2 seconds in the whole thing, if at all.
In the beginning, I think.
Maybe he's hey, Grogu, and that's it. It cuts to a new scene.
They high five, and it cuts to somebody else.
And this went nowhere. Like, I mean, they hint at it. They talk about it.
Tiny.
But considering you spent an hour
the
showing
longest
us all
episode.
these details, and then later they're kind of like, what happened to that guy? And that's it. That's it.
There he is. He's back there, actually.
That's it.
And it was like,
I
all
thought
you
it was.
had to do
I
was...
thought the finale was going to be like, oh, because I knew what. No, nothing.
This is such a weird editing
very
and pacing,
I'm
like
sorry, Ben, we're,
storytelling
going
thing. Because
This
But,
is
like-
great. I'm just listening.
it's
it's
great compared to the first and second season. This season is like
pretty shitty.
weird.
Actually,
It's
Yeah.
weird, and I don't know if they were trying to be like, no, it's about this character, this or that. Like, it is very
What's
strange.
so strange to me is that the problems with it are the most basic.
Yeah.
Like, you planned this season out, didn't you?
If someone told me right away, I'd go, no. Like, if someone just gave me the little, let me give you the summary of the season, I'd go, you know what I don't like about that? A, B, and C. Like, it would be very simple to
And
solve
there's
all these issues.
so much there's so little effort involved in making the ending make more sense by just showing us a little bit earlier. Right? Like, oh, this person's doing this. Or
so weird.
so and so intercepted a communication from this person.
Yeah.
You know, these planets are doing that. It's such a strange mess of. You guys watched Boba Fett, right?
I watched some of it.
I only watched the first
So you
two
didn't see
episodes,
the
maybe?
end, and I saw the end and a little bit before.
This
So.
feels just as like messy of sort of.
It feels like if I wrote 2 episodes and handed it off to someone, and they wrote 2 episodes
That's
and handed
probably
it off to
very
someone,
accurate.
and then they wrote 2 episodes and they were like, "You want to do the finale, Ben?" And like Ben was like, "Sure," but he didn't watch one of the episodes.
Also, we forgot to introduce the main bad guy.
Yeah. Like, also, we forgot that A, B, and C were happening, and we mentioned something, and like, don't even worry about that. We don't need to bring that up.
Like, when did they make this? This also feels very like
It's very weird.
so and so's schedule only allows him to be on set for 2 days.
Right.
And
So
he will not
when
be
do you
wearing
want-
any armor on the first day. So you need to figure out, you know, like,
It is weird, and there's a lot of time of like, hey, I want you to figure out this one weapon, and then later it's not even gonna matter if you figure it out
Irrelevant.
or if you don't worry
Yeah.
about it. It doesn't even matter. So the
I
fact that you
understand
did
that.
all this, like,
That part makes sense to me.
but like, there's so much that's like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where by the
Yeah.
end I go, well, I liked the last episode, so at least I'm kind of like, yay! But what
Boy.
I would rewatch season 1 and 2. I would never rewatch this season. I'd say
Yeah.
no thanks.
You're right. You're right.
I'd pass. So
Well, you guys did an excellent job of not spoiling anything because
you have no
other
idea
than
what's
your
going on.
opinions,
Oh, good.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Good.
I feel like I got so angry. I'm surprised I didn't just yell it out.
It is disappointing to hear you call it messy, especially after
Yes.
having watched Andor, which was the opposite. Very cohesive,
is-
very
That's why I'm
tight, very
surprised
well made.
then.
It's getting a lot of comparison to that, which I think is sort of unfair because it's not Andor.
No,
Never
they're
tried to
two,
be.
they're two
It's not
completely different
supposed to be,
things.
You know,
But like, if they know,
I just mean as the
how to
quality.
do things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm hating this.
it's not that hard to fucking write.
Even just like
an
season 1 and 2
overarching
are good.
story.
What happened? I don't know. It's very weird.
I don't know.
So I'm hoping if they do another season, maybe they kind of like they're like that didn't work and let's go back.
I do think, for whatever it's worth, they did wrap up a lot of stuff that would leave it in a position
Yeah.
for season 4 to be a return to form.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Him
I agree.
walking through the desert
Yep.
with a little baby and an egg next to him.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see.
and
That's why we like the show.
it is just like when we're saying the Mario movie doesn't need to be complicated. This does not need to be complicated.
You
I want to
overdid
see
it.
a monster by monster episode.
Yep.
How you're going to get in and out without getting hurt. As I want to
Yep.
see what kooky things you gonna do today?
Right. Just some hijinks.
I don't need some. If you want to do an overall thing that's like slightly,
That's fine.
Grogu got sick.
if he
How do I get the
touches
medicine? Whatever.
If he touches on a plot that's sort of like running
That's
outside
fine.
of the show,
But
that's
don't make
fine.
it like we're gonna go from do to do. Like it was so kooky.
Man, it was
you were like,
messy.
am I missing something or am I dumb or
messy.
yeah? It's very. So now Ben, you have to watch it so you can tell me.
I guess I'll have to report back.
But you have to watch. You haven't seen the Boba Fett. You have to watch those first.
You do.
Yep.
You literally have to watch
or it
part
won't
of
make
Boba
sense.
Fett.
All right. Okay.
And actually, the Boba
Maybe
Fett
I should
bits
rewatch.
are pretty
and
good.
see. No, those are good. I enjoyed
They're
those
pretty good
because it's
Those are
just it's just the
Mando.
Mandalorian. Like Boba Fett's in like 2 minutes overall of 3
It's
episodes.
it's the same thing that this season does, where it's like, here's 2 minutes of the main character.
So weird.
Anyway, we're going to talk about these people
Yes.
right now for 45 minutes.
It was weird though.
It ju-
I don't.
It's,
And also,
it's-
like, our friends, like Natalie and Sam, who also have been watching it. I don't think Sam's caught up yet, but Natalie has. And she's also like, what the fuck was that? Like, for every episode, we're both like,
Yeah.
did you see it? Because I saw it, but I'm not quite
it's
sure what's...
Monster of the Week done wrong, which
Yeah.
I think is an interesting.
Well, a lot of it, too, wasn't even, like... They kind of did a Monster of the Week.
Occasionally, there's
But a lot of
problem
it was
to be
like,
solved.
we're just going to talk about the overall. And you're like,
The
nobody
first-
cares about the overall. Like...
In the first
Sorry.
episode, there's nothing in the first
No.
episode that's like relevant. You could
It's
skip the first episode,
like
which is
1,
probably
2,
a
and-
bad sign.
1, 2, and 3, you're like, pass right away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We've just been screaming into the mic.
Well, I just want what you have given us in the past.
I know.
Right? It's
I
not-
agree.
it should be straightforward.
It should be, and if it got bad reviews for being more of the same, fine.
Yeah.
But this is it's like wrong direction.
No.
Wrong direction.
And also, when this might be a spoiler, but when they did the dragon kid
Child?
fiasco,
Yeah.
and then they brought back stuff, I thought that was gonna be in the finale. No.
I totally forgot about it. It's irrelevant.
It once again, I was like, you know who
That
they're
was
gonna
set
bring
up.
out.
That was set up.
Right?
And it never, ever.
I thought for
I
sure they're
mean,
gonna be like, we got backup,
You're
bitch.
absolutely
And it was
right.
never saw
Oh
them.
my god!
Isn't
I
that
totally
like the
forgot about
number
it.
one? Isn't it like the number one rule in storytelling? If you have a gun on the wall in Act 1, that gun better fire in Act 3.
Yeah.
Well, guess
You're
what? They had about
so
20
right.
guns on the wall that didn't fire. So I was waiting for that, and then the end happened.
totally
I was
forgot
like,
about that.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't
this
quite.
is the equivalent of them acquiring like 3 tactical nukes in episode 2.
Never see him again.
Yep. Like not even
Not even talked about. Not
never
mentioned. Not a
ever
sign.
mentioned again.
So that was weird.
Well, what the heck?
It was very strange.
It's sloppy. It's
It's
sloppy.
very sloppy.
Show making.
It was sad.
Bummer.
But
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
on
I
that
like-
note,
Anyway, sorry. That was a lot.
Sorry.
How long?
we
did
got one more number one. Maybe we can
Yeah.
bring. Maybe
I'm
we can bring
sorry.
the
I'll try
energy
to go
back
I didn't
up.
want to talk about it because it was too.
No,
not even
that
mad.
was a good.
because
That was
I
a
watched
good
it
conversation.
today, I'm like, I
The-
want to talk to someone about it.
Son, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm disappointed.
You know?
My number one is a podcast, and I've talked about it before, but it's I Love a Lifetime movie. Ben, I've made
Okay.
you listen to this several times too.
It's a good show. I
So-
like those two ladies who do it. They're funny comedians.
Yeah, so it's 2 comedians, and they go through a Lifetime movie. So it's Naomi and Megan.
What's this?
So they recap a Lifetime movie like step by step, and they work on the Lifetime like network though, so they can like play the movie throughout the podcast. They can make fun of it as much as they
Wow, I'm
want
surprised
because
they
like
let 'em do
they have
that.
hired them,
Yeah.
and so they will essentially be like, okay, so do you remember when her husband just did this? And they're like, that was fucking crazy. And then they'll joke about it and talk about it. And they're like, this is the most wacky thing I've ever seen in a movie. It is. So they're like making fun of it the entire time. And it's hilarious and great. And I love
Talk
it so
about-
much.
Talk about brand awareness.
Oh, Lifetime was
Yeah.
like, you
Like-
know what's crazy about us? all this shit.
Everything.
And they like, yeah.
Yeah.
How do
Exactly.
we monetize what we're already
so
doing in
Right?
a different? Wow.
So
I want to
it's
listen because I don't want to watch
hilarious,
those damn movies.
and it's so good.
Oh no, I don't want to watch any of the
No,
movies, but the
but it's
podcast is pretty funny.
hilarious. So if you were to start watching, my 2 recommendations for ones to start with. So it started in 2021. So there aren't like a ton, but there's, quite a few still. But Deadly Mile High Club.
Oh, did I listen to that one?
You listen to that one. That's the one where they're like they're in the plane at the end and like, do you remember?
Isn't it
That's
his
the one with
dead
the pink
wife?
fedora.
Like the pilot killed his wife,
Something like that.
and she's in a coffin in the plane.
It is something
in the
like
overhead
that.
bins.
But she's not totally dead or something, and they're trying like it's
Then
of
they
course
get
so
dropped?
What's the
fucking
name of the
wackadoodle. It's I Love a Lifetime movie.
I love a Lifetime movie.
And so Deadly Mile High Club is a really good one. It's really funny. It's a great one to start with. And also My Husband's Deadly Past. So those
I think I saw that one.
Okay, so those two are
Megan
both
talked about that.
hilarious.
Yeah.
They're hilarious because the way they talk about it, so they do step by step, but they 100% make fun of it. They also are like, this was wild. Or they'll be like, I couldn't tell her apart from the other actor because they're all fucking white women that like, they just, the way they tear it apart is so great. And I don't, like, it is probably my favorite podcast now. It's so good. It's
Let's
so
take
good.
a minute to break down. First of all, Lifetime movies,
Are fucking insane.
but they know what they're doing, right?
Well, that's why, yeah, exactly.
You talk about people joke about like Star Wars getting stale or Marvel in particular getting stale. The Lifetime cinematic universe is one size only, right?
It's the same recipe every time, and yet we fall for it every time.
Right.
It is.
Right. But then they take that and they take 2 steps back and they get people to roast their own shit
It's so good.
on company.
Yes.
Like, this is genius. I want to
It's
meet
so good.
the people at Lifetime.
And because they work
Right.
for Lifetime, they can be like, listen to this.
Right.
And they'll just
Here's
play
the
a
clip.
chunk of the
Here's the-
movie. Here's a clip. And so it's perfect when they like them making fun of it. It's just perfect. It's always funny. I love it so much. So yeah,
I want to
definitely
listen
check
to
it
this
out.
just as like a
It's nice of like a break of a podcast that's not like, let me tell you how to save the planet today or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's so many, but there's so many podcasts that are like, it's news based or this or that. And I'm like, I just want to not think about shit today. And this one is just funny no matter what. Like, it's great. Which I remember I forced Ben to listen to a couple and he was laughing. So
Oh, I've listened to a couple without you.
yeah, it's so
I wanna
good,
listen.
man.
I love
So that's my
Lifetime.
What
recommendation.
a
Nice.
great number one. And a
Excellent.
great
Yeah.
way to wrap up the countdown. Are we going to do
It's very late.
anything? It's very late. This podcast has gone quite long. I
How
think.
long? We should probably be done. I can do it really quick if you want.
No,
but
maybe we just wrap
I
it.
feel
up.
like
be
we'd
done.
be done.
Save them. Yeah.
We'll save
Save
them
'em
for
for
next
next
time.
Yeah.
They're good ones, but we'll save them. We'll save them.
Well, in that case, thanks, Em, for that awesome number one. And I hope everybody had fun tuning in for this month's podcast. If you are listening to the audio version of this and would like to see a video version, go check out the Date Night Dice YouTube channel. You can find this show along with our other 2 shows, the Date Night D-List movie breakdown, where we watch bad movies and then talk about why they're bad or how they could be better or whatever as
Why
we
you
stumble
should
our way
not
through
watch them.
Yeah, why you
Right.
shouldn't watch
Yeah.
them. And we also have Session Zero on there. It's our RPG podcast I do with my co-host Ryan from the
Listening.
Gamecasters.
I love it.
If you want to watch those live, either one of those, they are the first and second Wednesdays of the month. You can tune into Date Night Dice on Twitch, and you can ask us questions while we're talking about bad movies or while we're talking about RPGs. We
I
have
do
guests
enjoy.
on there, ask them questions. What's that?
I said I do enjoy that.
Ah,
Like when
yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
are talking about the movie with us.
Yep. I love when people tune in. So until next time, I'm Ben,
I'm Em.
I'm Ken.
and we will see you guys later.
Bye.